on a Monday afternoon. Back from the weekend. Hope it was a good one for all of you. So glad that you're with us for 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And in living color, a little late, but right on time, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Welcome in. We've got a full 3 hours of sports talk for you today and lots to get to from the sports weekend that was. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuy hanging with you on this Monday afternoon. We are here with you until 6 o'clock, at which point we will pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network for the hottest team in Major League Baseball, the Kansas City Royals, coming back to town off of a 5-1 road trip and a series win over Baltimore, not even close. And I don't know where Milwaukee came from, to be completely honest with you. And back home,
two teams that haven't won anything in 50 years.
Milwaukee hasn't won anything ever.
Well, yeah. Ever does include 50 years.
And they are at home to starting tonight a 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox.
The second hottest team in baseball?
They have won 3 out of 4.
I know they've been killing the Rock Sox parlay.
No longer burdened by being baseball's punchline. They are free to go out and play, and you can see how much that they have improved as a result. They are no longer the joke. They are no longer the dregs, the true dregs of Major League Baseball, for they do not have the fewest wins in the league. They've got 10 wins.
Hey.
10-24. Coming to town to take on a Royals team in the middle of its best stretch since 2017. 11-2 in their last 13 games. They open that series tonight at the K. 6:40 first pitch. Cole Reagans is back on the bump. It's a good pitching matchup tonight. Reagans returning from that groin tweak. He'll take on Shane Smith, who's been Chicago's best starter so far this year. First pitch at 6:40. Pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network will get underway at 6 p.m. So we are with you up until then. And we're going to talk plenty of Royals baseball. Holy power surge. What was that yesterday? It was a team record was what that was. 7 big flies for the Royals. A single game franchise record. The fact that they only got 11 runs out of those 7 home runs is a little bit funny. But an 11-6 win over the Orioles in the rubber game of that 3-game series at Camden Yards, a series that started with the Royals being shut out, concluded with them hitting 10 home runs in 2 games. For comparison's sake, in their first 33 games, they had hit 15 home runs. So out of nowhere, this power surge for the Royals, we'll talk about it, where it came from. It's not sustainable, but is it the start of something? And we'll talk about the team's new OPS leader. It's not Bobby Witt Jr., the hottest player on the Royals. We'll get into that a little bit as well as we look back on the weekend that was.
Cool of Bobby to immediately after we talked about how great he is, go 8 straight at-bats without a hit.
Yeah. You 22 is where the hitting streak stopped, but I think you would have traded the end of the hitting streak for the continuation of the hot streak.
Yeah.
And that was the case as he homered yesterday, started a new streak. And the Royals win the rubber game over the struggling Orioles. We'll talk Royals. We'll also bring back an old favorite segment. Maybe it's just something we like. I don't know if it's y'all's favorite, but bring back Is It Good for a little baseball talk in the 4 o'clock hour.
I'm excited about
America's favorite game.
I know, it's been a while.
It has been a while. We haven't done Is It Good in a long time.
Probably since week 13 or so of the NFL season.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, we sometimes we bring it in for basketball. We never got around to it. So we're going to do it for baseball. We're going to play a little round of Is It Good? And we'll talk about some Royals in there and also some of their American League competition as we getting close to Dayton Moore's 40-game mark. So it's about time to start looking around and deciding whether or not things are good or not. So we're going to play Is It Good? Coming up. Also, Chiefs rookie minicamp over the weekend. Got to hear from Andy Reid. Got to hear from the new guys, the drafted rookies, some of the undrafted players who were in as a part of the rookie minicamp. But we pulled some choice cuts from head coach Andy Reid and some of the players that spoke to the media over the previous 2 days at One Arrowhead Drive. I think some interesting stuff, and I think that 2 things characterize this class. Maybe it's even 3. But the 2 things that stand out about this class, IQ, which has been something that you can say about most of the recent Chiefs draft classes. They really value football IQ, football intelligence, and character. I don't think that's an accident with this draft class either, that a lot of the guys they brought in have been described as really high character guys.
Mm-hmm.
One of them in particular you'll hear from a little bit later on in that 4 o'clock hour segment we were calling Mic'd Up.
Very fitting.
Yeah, it sounds.
Shout out to the boys.
Yeah. Shout out to Jacob Fulton. But we'll go mic'd up for Chiefs rookie minicamp. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also talk some NFL with our guest, Matt Verderame. He joins us at the bottom of this hour, this 3 o'clock hour, as he does every Monday on 580 Sports Talk. We'll get Matt's perspective on now what, essentially. We've rookie minicamps have opened, draft is in the books. Now what happens? Are we sitting around waiting for Aaron Rodgers, or is there some other stuff that's going to happen between now and the start of training camp? God, I hope so.
Hey, 9 days. NFL schedule gets released.
This is true.
So, make plans, I guess, maybe. Something like that.
For the schedule release?
Yeah. What's your party going to look like?
It will look like checking social media as soon as the show is over to see the schedule.
Okay, what is the Chiefs schedule? What's my favorite team's schedule? What's the video that the Chargers post? All right, I'm done.
Yeah, check the schedule and go, looking like 12-4, baby. I can't. I guess 12-5.
I was gonna say, but what happens at 12-4-1? Every team should tie to bring back numbers that look more appealing.
I know. I hate it. Just the lack of symmetry with the 17-game schedule still bothers me. But yeah, you look at the thing and say, man, I can't see. It doesn't matter what team you root for. Maybe the Browns. It's different. I don't know. I've never been a Browns fan. I've never known that particular hell. But yeah, you look at your schedule and you go, yeah, really hard to see fewer than 12 wins. I don't know. I mean, well, we're only gonna lose a home once. And you go 500 on the road. Yep, that smelling like 12-5. First round bye.
That's hope springs eternal.
Yes.
Every sport has it.
They've turned the schedule release into a day on the calendar, a day on the sports calendar.
They did a whole weird break in the draft to talk about a day when they will talk about the schedule. That's how big of a deal.
And we're talking about them talking about the schedule.
They keep winning, man.
We are addicts, man. We are hopelessly hooked. Matt Verderame will join us bottom of this hour. And because it's a Monday, we've got all the things you come to know and love from an edition of 580 Sports Talk, including our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll do a supersized conference semifinal preview edition of the playoff roundup. The conference semifinals already underway in the NBA. They get going tonight in the NHL. We will take a look at that action, a supersized edition of the playoff roundup. We got What Is Wrong With You, starting a new week there. We'll do Good, Bad, Ugly from the weekend that was as well. And your interaction with the program throughout. We want to hear from you. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the chat on our YouTube stream. Again, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. And if you are watching our stream on YouTube, jump in that chat, shall you? Shall we jump in the chat? Won't you jump in the chat? That's what I meant to say. Jump in the chat, won't you? In the web browser or mobile device, there's a chat feature, and you can interact with us. You can interact with your fellow listeners. Good afternoon to Casey and Tyler and everybody who's watching, everybody who will tune in on the YouTube channel. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. The Royals hit 10 home runs in 2 wins over the weekend. They'd had 15 homers in their first 33 games, and then they hit 10 in 2 days. I had mentioned on Friday's show that the reason the Orioles were bad is because their pitching was bad. And then they shut out the Royals on Friday night. I was starting to think, oh boy, there's going to be some egg on my face. We come back around on Monday's show if the Royals offense is going to scuffle against this pitching staff that is one of the worst in Major League Baseball so far. And then they had 10 home runs in 2 games. They got 3 solos on Saturday. They got, I think it was 6 solos, and Massey's was a 2-run homer yesterday. You can correct me if that's wrong, but I don't believe that it is. I think the only one with runners on base was the one by, Massey was the only one that hit a home run with somebody on base. Though it's hard for guys to be on base when all they're doing is hitting home runs. The Royals pounded out 17 hits, got the win 11-6 yesterday, and bailed out Michael Lorenzen in what was really the first dud of a start for the Royals this season. I don't think there's been a worse start than Lorenzen's, who failed to make it through the 5th, gave up 4 home runs of his own, but again, 3 of those were solo home runs. The old adage is solo home runs don't beat you. You give up 6, and they do tend to beat you. They do tend to kind of stack up a little bit. Lorenzen pulled before the end of the 5th, but Steven Cruz cleaned up the mess. Angel Zerpa worked an inning in 2/3. Urseg and Clark finished things up. And the Royals now 11-2 in their last 13. This is their best stretch of 13 games since 2017. They went 5-1 on this recent road trip after going 5-1 on their previous homestand after beating Detroit following that ugly 6-game losing streak on that previous road trip. And I think you have to say that obviously the home runs and the offensive explosion yesterday make things feel even better, just vibes wise, like direction wise. But it's starting to feel like things are coming together for this ball club. They are putting together the kind of numbers now that I think that you would have expected. The lineup is pulling the rope from top to bottom. And I think that the sign of a team that is starting to turn it around is when what has been their strength all season long, it's been the starting pitching. When that does falter, to be able to pick it up and go win a game anyway. Because the Royals took an early lead yesterday, but they fell behind 2-1, then they fell behind 3-2, then they fell behind 5-4, and just continued to hit, put up runs in all 6 of the final 6 innings of the game. And when you're picking up your starting pitcher like that, when you're finding a way to come back and win a rubber game against a struggling team, to me, this is one of the most encouraging wins in the stretch. Not because of the quality of the competition. I mean, the Orioles are really in the mire right now, but the way they went about doing it. Rubber game on the road, end of a road trip, to put together that kind of effort and win that game and bail out their starting pitcher. I thought it was really encouraging yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything, it was just some positive regression to the mean after they couldn't hit freaking Dean Kramer on Friday. I mean, that right there is just the world falling back into balance, because Dean Kramer has been terrible, and the Royals couldn't figure it out.
No, they putting the ball in play,
right?
Couldn't do anything productive with it.
I think too, I'm being facetious there, but I do think there was an element of 15 home runs in 33 games. That is unsustainably little power for a team that's got the bats that the Royals have. And frankly, the way that baseball is played now, the number of guys who hit the ball hard, Garcia hits it hard all the time. Witt does. Vinny often has, not always super well, but he often does. You've got too many guys who hit the ball really hard, Salvi obviously, to not be hitting any home runs. So eventually things were going to swing back in the other direction. And it came at the right time. It would be one thing if it happened today, right? And Shane Smith, love his band, but just kidding. I don't know any songs by Shane Smith and the Saints, but not the same Shane Smith either. But so what? It's the White Sox. They stink here at home. Whatever. But to do it in that moment, rubber game on the road, et cetera, there is a little bit of probably confidence, probably the feeling of momentum that comes with that as well. So yeah, it was fun to see. It was the first time in a long time we've seen this Royals offense. I'm like, whoa, that was actually fun. That was modern baseball being played and scored in this game. So, hard to complain about the offense after the weekend they just had. Now they have to actually keep it going. That felt like the culmination of a couple different games we had talked about, starting with the Rockies series and moving onward. They're starting to hit a little bit better. We talked about it after the finale on Thursday. In fact, that this is what the offense is supposed to look like. Can they string it together? Well, they have won. What is it now? 11 out of 13?
Yes.
Yeah. You win that many times. You score as many runs as they've scored in the back half of this stretch. I think we can feel pretty confident that this offense is maybe not as explosive as it's been the last 2 days, but I think it's closer to what it's been the last 4 games than what it had been in the previous, 29 games, 32 games, whatever it is.
4 different Royals hit their first home runs of the season over the weekend, including guy you'll forget on the 2025 Royals Sporkle quiz, Luke Mailey, who debuted with the club over the weekend, homered yesterday. Kevin Biggio hit his first of the year Saturday. Michael Massey and Jonathan India both went yard for the first time this season yesterday, and boy, did both of those guys need those. Massey in particular, because India's on-base percentage, even with his batting average as low as it is, he's up to 220 after yesterday. But he's still getting on base at a 331 clip, and that doesn't sound super special, but it's above league average. It's tied for third best among regulars on the team. He's not coming out of the lineup. And Maikel Garcia, who is the current team leader in OPS, by the way, 3 points higher than Bobby Witt Jr., he sure as hell isn't coming out of the lineup anytime soon.
No.
So if there's going to be a guy who could get squeezed out if he doesn't start hitting and soon, it's Massey. So I think he's maybe feeling some of that heat. And for him to homer yesterday, maybe that allows him to take a breath a little bit. As we documented earlier last week, he's always been a slow starter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Royals know that he's been a slow starter. They're going to give him a little bit of a rope and a little bit of opportunity here to start May to see if he does warm up. But he's going to have to do it quick because India's playing every day and Maikel Garcia is playing every day. And Jonathan India, bless him, not a great left fielder. Like, you're starting to get to the point where you think, boy, if Michael Massey's going to slug 265, what's he in the lineup for? Because I think he's a good defender. He's not a great one.
No.
And you would have to be like the second coming of Bill Mazeroski to justify your place in the lineup. The second coming of Frank White. Let's do a more contemporary and local reference to a Gold Glove caliber defensive second baseman. You would have to be Frank White defensively to justify being in the lineup if you're not going to hit. So India to second base could be something that the Royals look at if Massey doesn't get rolling. So it was good to see him get his first home run of the season, to be sure. Vinny Pasquantino had a really good trip. 5 extra base hits of the 7 that he had on the trip. He was 7 for 27 on the trip, 5 extra base hits, 3 home runs, and the swing is looking more confident. Obviously, the power is just going to come because he's a big dude and hits the ball hard. That's the kind of guy where if he can get rolling, it's more than just good for Vinny Pasquantino. It's good for the team when the vibes guy starts to roll. And Vinny's always been kind of a vibes guy in this clubhouse.
Yeah, very popular, great personality. Media loves to cover him. Like, yeah, he's got all that stuff. And again, I think he is too good of a hitter, and his approach at the plate generally is too good to have the results that he was experiencing going through the start of this season. So I think this trip for him was more of an, okay, water is finding its level, so to speak. It is getting back. After an incredibly productive series, his numbers are going to look a little bit more like you would expect over a longer period of time because of the very brief but highly concentrated production he had here in these last few games. I do still believe it's going to come around longer term for Vinny. Like, I don't think this was it. I would not be surprised if we get another good series against the White Sox. In fact, everybody should hope and expect to have a good series against the Chicago White Sox. But it was good to see. It was positive for this Royals team. You needed to get to a point, and we've been over this time after time after time. You needed to get to a point where you didn't have to rely on starting pitching every single game to win you the game, and the bullpen too. But
starting pitching and the back end of that bullpen. You can't win every game 3-2.
No, you can't.
It's not sustainable over 6 months.
Especially not in the modern game. 100 years ago, sure, but you cannot do that right now. So you needed the offense to come around, and given the upcoming stretch of schedule, obviously you start with the White Sox. That's favorable, to say the least, although they have been playing a little bit better. I will give them credit for that. After that, you get the Red Sox at home, at the Astros.
And who's not going to play in that series, just got placed on the injured list, Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah, that's big time. He's been a little iffy.
Yeah, slow start for sure, but you'd rather not deal with him than deal with him.
Then the Cardinals and the Giants as you approach the end of the month. Giants have mostly been pretty good. Matt Chapman was hitting the ball really well to start the season.
They played the Rockies this weekend. They don't get credit for those.
But so you don't have the world's easiest schedule coming up. Let's put it that way. Getting this momentum now, getting things figured out a little bit now. In Vinny's case, I need to break my launch angle. I need to drop it a couple degrees. Instead of trying to launch at 30 degrees, we're going to bring it down a little bit, even out the swing a little. Oh, wow, there's the power. There's the connection. Boom. Perfect time to get this stuff figured out before a pretty big stretch, even though the White Sox are the only divisional games until May 23rd, another 18 days from now. This is a pretty big deal to get it going at this exact moment.
Yeah, you got to bank these wins. And when they lost that Saturday game at Detroit, they went 6 games under 500. Now they're 3 games above. I thought that this would have been a successful. They went on the road a game below 500. I would have said if you come back at 500 or a game above 500 from this road trip, that's probably a pretty good road trip. They did one better than that. They ended up going 5-1 and are now 3 games over 500, only 3 games behind the Tigers. Feels like the Tigers have been just stomping everyone, but the Royals in shouting distance. They'd be in the playoffs if the season ended today. In fact, you look at the standings. They would be one of the 3 wild card teams. Be Cleveland, the Athletics, Sacramento, and the Royals would be the 3 American League wildcard teams. One other guy I want to talk about from the weekend, because he didn't homer yesterday, but he did have a big hit to drive in a pair of runs. Drew Waters continues to get his everyday opportunities in the outfield. Batting average is 282. OPS is at 743, 9% above league average, according to OPS Plus. We have talked about the strikeouts. And early on, when Waters was called up, that continued to be an issue for Drew Waters. He was at like 37% strikeout rate. That was even after the game against Colorado, where he had the big game with the home run and almost hit for the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, his strikeout rate is starting to progressively drop. It's now down to about 27%, which still a little high. So he needs to do damage when he does make contact. Otherwise, that's still a little high, but it is starting to improve. And those are really promising signs for a player that, as we've talked about, is kind of on his last chance.
Yep.
For him to be making more contact, like just being able to get back to the ball more often, it's going to give him a chance to do more damage and help the lineup and stabilize the corner outfield situation that has been such a mess to start the season.
This Royals team needs somebody who's going to add, a little pop, a little bit of juice. And look, it
just can't be what it was when it was Melendez and Renfroe to start the season. It just can't be that.
And look, if you told me before the year that your best option to get that was going to be Drew Waters, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, it would make...
I entered the year and still, frankly, have not completely pulled off this take.
Like, I wasn't thinking about Waters at all. It was like, he's still in the organization.
Because, okay, we've seen this movie enough times.
But he's only 26. He's got a little defensive utility. He can play all over the outfield.
And look, if it works, it works, and I'm not going to complain about that. I worry about the sustainability, but in Drew Waters' defense, and to counter my personal feelings about it, right now, I don't know that sustainability is all that important, because you have to find something. You needed to get it going somehow. So if you're only going to get like 25 great games out of Drew Waters this year, well, fine. Get all 25 out of the way right now and figure out the rest afterward. I won't complain about that.
Right.
As long as you're finding it somewhere.
For the time being, this has been valuable because it has stabilized the lineup.
Ride the hot hand.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take our first time out here on 580 Sports Talk, come back with a quick round of the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was, and then Matt Verderame is going to join us to talk football. And we're just getting started on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. We'll go quick here so Matt Verderame can join us. Start with you, Brendan. What was your good?
Good for the weekend. I enjoyed the Kentucky Derby. I did not win any money, unfortunately.
Sovereignty, your winner.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Sovereignty defeated journalism. I'll let you make your own jokes. No, it was fun. The most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports. It was a blast, and it was a lot of fun on Saturday.
Sloppy track. I did get to watch the horses. I enjoyed that. What was your good, Spencer?
Well, I wasn't stressed out about playoff hockey over the weekend because my team had already won. Waiting for what was, I'll get that to my bad later on. Nats play a good series in Cincinnati. I got to see my buddy, haven't seen since last New Year's. And yesterday, way home, stopped at Emporia, got me some Brahms.
There we go.
And brought home the girlfriend some ice cream, a carton of ice cream from Brahms.
Nice.
So
move.
big move. Got a big win there.
Nicely done. My good was Saturday. Denver Nuggets win Game 7 over the Los Angeles Clippers. My bad. Saturday. Colorado Avalanche lose Game 7 to the Dallas Stars. Kind of figured I'd get one or the other. It's a little greedy to ask for, 2 reds in the little package of Starburst.
Yeah, it happens.
Usually you get a red and a yellow, or a pink and an orange.
I'll take a pink. I think pink's my favorite.
Yeah, this is two pinks is too much to ask. So I didn't get 2 pinks, but I got a pink and an orange. The pink is the good, the orange is the bad.
My bad is just, generally speaking, nobody who covers the NBA actually likes basketball. I genuinely believe that. Like, you cannot go on the internet and be like, ooh, I want to know what people are saying about this Timberwolves game without being like, oh, Ant the GOAT, bro. He goated, dude. You don't like basketball or you're 8. Like, that's the only people who actually talk about the sport. It's very frustrating.
I have been much less exposed to that level of conversation since I stopped logging on to the Everything app.
But even people in your mentions today on Blue Sky were like, oh, what are you talking about? People drives me nuts.
Bad, Spencer?
Yeah, the NHL scheduling for the darn playoffs. Like, the Caps are 6 days of rest. The Hurricanes are 7 days of rest before Game 1. They could have played tonight.
Yeah.
Heck, they could have played last night.
Yes, they could have.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're starting on a Tuesday, why there's so much time off. Like, the NBA does this where they scatter the series, and why can't the NHL do it?
My ugly is my son woke up at 5 a.m. yesterday. We couldn't get him back to sleep. So yesterday I was very tired. That's my ugly.
I smacked my head on the side of a cabinet playing with my daughter on the floor the other day.
Ouch.
Yeah, it really hurt. If you touch the side of my eye, it still really hurts.
Dad-related injuries.
Yeah.
An ugly, Spencer?
Yeah, my ugly was I came home yesterday as I was driving home. I'm like, yeah, I'll drive home. I'll bring the ice cream home first so it doesn't melt anymore because it was, in the 70s. Then I'm going to drop everything off, run to the grocery store, get another win in because my girlfriend's away for the weekend. I laid on the couch and I was gone.
It'd be like that.
So now I got to go to get groceries tonight after the show.
Matt Verderame coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined in the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline, as we are every Monday at this time, by the great Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Matt, are we going to make it to schedule release day before any big NFL news breaks, or do you expect this to be calm waters until May 14th, or what's the next thing on raising your antenna on your radar right now?
I would really hope that it's calm waters until the scheduled release date. Look, there's probably going to be a few games that are released out like they always are early. The Chiefs and Chargers week 1 in Brazil is something that has been speculated about quite a bit. That, if it is true, would probably come out before. We might get the Christmas Day games, stuff like that. But in terms of like news, I think the only thing that happen around the league, barring an unfortunate injury or something like that, would be Rodgers signed Pittsburgh. But I have no reason to believe that that's going to happen in the next weekend. I think it could. It could also happen in July. So it's Aaron Rodgers. Try to predict Aaron Rodgers is a fool's errand.
Yeah, it feels like if he signed tomorrow, then we'd stop talking about him for a little while before training camp starts. And hey, we can't have that, can we? We can't have him out of the news.
No, I'm sure he'd be devastated. So, that thing is going to go on and on and on. But Pittsburgh's action, or I guess inaction, really would tell you that they certainly believe at some point in time that this is going to come to roost. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think. Look, there's no other free agent that would make a real splash at this point. There certainly won't be a trade that I can't imagine. If it materializes to be out of nowhere, nothing's being talked about in league circles. I think for right now, look, Chiefs wrapping up rookie minicamp today, and nobody's getting into OTAs until after the schedule release. So I think, yes, probably the next week and a half or so, probably a good time to kind of recharge and relax before the games start to be nailed down to dates and times.
So the draft is in the books, and again, most of the free agent activity, the roster building activity, most of that is done. When you look at the AFC teams that would fancy themselves to be contenders entering 2025, who's off season? Now, big picture, not just their free agency business, but their draft business. Who's off season among AFC contenders have you liked the best?
Well, to me, if I look at the AFC, I think there are 3 teams that can win the Super Bowl. I think it's the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens. Look, we could argue about whether or not if Pittsburgh has Rodgers, how far can they go, or the Bengals, if that defense can do anything, how far can they go? But to me, I look at those 3 teams as clear in a way above everybody else. Houston's obviously another team that might want to be part of that conversation. I don't know that Buffalo and Baltimore changed a whole lot. I mean, obviously they added draft classes, but Baltimore was very much just kind of stable throughout free agency. The Bills, you would say the same thing. They re-signed a lot of their own players, they extended them. It didn't do a lot. Joey Bosa was kind of the big name. I think at this point, you're kind of hoping and praying more than you are relying on him. The Chiefs, I thought were also, somewhat steady. Obviously they had Christian Fulton, they lost Justin Reed. Those are probably the big moves, along with, of course, Jalen Moore. But I think the Chiefs had the best draft of those teams. So if I had to pick, I would pick Kansas City. Let's put it this way. I certainly don't think it's changed that the Chiefs are the favorite of the AFC. Somebody has to prove they can beat them. And to this point, over the last 6 years, very few have beaten. Cincinnati's the only team that's beaten them in a meaningful spot in the last 6 years in the AFC.
Is there any team that you think, again, thinks of themselves as a contender, thinks of themselves, whether it's realistic or not, as we've got a shot to dethrone the Chiefs and win the AFC, where you don't feel like their offseason business has maybe matched that sort of belief, where you feel like they've come up short in, maybe it was the draft, maybe it was free agency, that they didn't do enough to make sure that they could get to that tier?
Houston. I think the Texans have been in the divisional round each of the last 2 years. And that's an accomplishment, but also at some point you start looking at it and going, all right, well, how do you get past that? I don't know how anybody could argue that Houston's better than the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens. Like, what argument is there? They didn't get better. They lost Larry Tunsil. They traded him away. They did not add a first-round talent. They ended up trading out of the first round. They ended up taking Ursary, who is a tackle prospect, but realistically, is probably a guy who is going to need a little bit of time to develop. They added Cam Robinson, Ed Ingram, Laken Tomlinson. None of those guys are plus players. I mean, Robinson is fine. Ingram and Laken Tomlinson should be backups. They did not get better. Now, defensively, I think they're a very good team, and they're the best team in that division. But are they good enough? I don't know. And then the Chargers are the other answer to that question. Like, I look at the Chargers, and you got to hope Trey Harris comes in and he plays like Keenan Allen, because they didn't add anybody of note in free agency. The draft, I thought their draft added talent, but I thought they missed the mark in terms of maybe adding some key positions. I think their defense is worse than it was a year ago. So I think you're going to hear a lot in July and August about the Chargers are a competitor of the Chiefs. And in reality, I think the Chargers are more a competitor for Denver for second place. I don't think the Chargers are any real threat to compete with Kansas City.
Our guest is Matt Verderame, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Sports Illustrated NFL writer, joins us every Monday at this time. Matt, what about in the NFC? Is there a team that maybe you look at a little bit differently, a little more favorably as a bona fide contender in what feels like a bit more of a wide open conference based upon what they've been able to accomplish in the offseason so far?
I think if J.J. McCarthy is good, Minnesota can go to the Super Bowl. Minnesota's loaded. Minnesota, if you look at what the Vikings have done, a lot of talent on both sides of the football. And they obviously last year they won 14 games, and then this year they bring in McCarthy now as a full-time starter. Now that he's back from the meniscus, Darnold's gone. Added a pair of defensive tackles on the inside with Hargrave and Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. This is a team that has a lot of ability and is very well coached. The downside is that division is very tough, right? But the upside is I think they're really good. I'll give you another Tampa. Tampa, I think, is really talented offensively. Now, defensively, they're relying on some young kids, guys that he drafted, and that's always a question. You don't know what that's going to look like, right? Like Benjamin Morrison coming from Notre Dame, he's probably going to be a starting corner, a day two corner. I like him a lot, but can he come in and play 17 games, play at a high level? I don't know. But the upside for them is that division is awful. And Tampa Bay, if they're moderately better, might win 12 games. So, look, I think the Vikings are my kind of pick to click, if you will, but I think that Tampa is being slept on a little bit.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He covers all things NFL for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Also the host of the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon and that football show at the KC Sports Network. Joins us every Monday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline to talk all things NFL. Matt, already talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. What about some of the other bigger named free agents that are still out there and available? Let's run through a couple. Two guys that played for the Buffalo Bills this past year, or half the year anyway, in the case of Amari Cooper, who's the best wide receiver available on the market right now, obviously older on the wrong side of 30. And Von Miller on the wrong side of 35 at this point, who looked like a shell of himself near the, really throughout this entire past season. What are you hearing about the potential landing spots for those two and how long it might take to have one of them signed with a team?
I wouldn't be surprised if Miller doesn't sign till the season. I think there's a real world where he waits till after, well, not he waits, but the teams wait till after week one because then his contract's not guaranteed. I don't think he's done anything in recent years to show that he deserves to be on a roster come August 1st. He just hasn't played well. I mean, he has been sapped by injury and age and time, and there was also, the suspension last year. I look at Von Miller and think that at this point, that is a break glass case for emergency. An edge rusher blows a knee out or something in middle August, and all of a sudden, you need somebody. With Cooper, look, he's a talented guy. He's still young enough to produce, but he went to Buffalo last year, and quite frankly, was persona non grata. He did nothing, and I think he will be on a team for camp. I think somebody will bring him in. I also think at this point he is a flyer. And I think he's a worthwhile flyer. I think he's much more worthwhile than Miller. But at the same point, I think teams just have looked at some of these guys and said, listen, the production's not there. The age is becoming an issue, and teams are going to look the other way at times until they have no other choice.
There are a number of pretty big name players who are out there still available. Now, big name and productive are not necessarily the same thing, as we know. Amari Cooper's out there. Zadarius Smith, I figure he can probably wait until training camp to sign somewhere. Brandon Sheriff, a little bit surprised he isn't signed. I know he's 33, but he's a darn good player. The guy I'm most surprised by is Kendall Fuller. I mean, he's only 30. He's been a good player, probably not going to be all that expensive. I'm a little surprised no one has signed him at this point. Who's a guy or two that you're surprised by that is still available in the free agent pool?
Cooper is one of them. Shreff's another one. I was actually going over this list yesterday. So those are a couple of guys. Mike Hilton's a guy who I'm kind of surprised by. Listen, I get it. You know, he didn't play well last year in Cincinnati. Who did defensively? But he is a veteran guy. He's a very good blitzer. He's a very physical slot corner. I think if you're a team looking for a slot corner, you're not looking at him, obviously, as a long-term answer. I think he's 30 now. You could probably squeeze a year out of him. I'm surprised that no team with the emphasis on adding so many corners because of the passing game exploded over the last 15, 20 years. I'm surprised nobody's taken a look at him and given him a shot.
Jalen Ramsey, who has bounced all over the league, he's asked for a trade. The Dolphins are like, yeah, we're going to trade you. That's pretty open. It also feels like a pretty open secret that it's going to be the Rams. You don't usually have a head coach of a potential trade target like Sean McVay say, yeah, those conversations are ongoing. It's kind of weird. So A, is that the biggest open secret in the league right now? And B, what do you think it'll cost to get Ramsey back to LA?
Nothing. I mean, literally, I think nothing. I honest to God, I think the Rams could offer them a 6th round, 7th round pick.
Wow.
And they do. Like, the Dolphins are going to have to eat money if they want a real pick back. And if they don't want to eat money, they're not getting the pick back. Like, the Dolphins extended him a year ago. The Dolphins gave him real money. This is not like he's on the last year of a 4-year deal and his base salary is $7 million. Like, his base salary is significant, and that's what you're acquiring for your team trading for him. So, look, this like if the Dolphins are sitting there hoping they get a 4th round pick, they're gonna be waiting till Christmas. They're not getting a 4th round pick for him. It's not gonna happen. And the Rams need corners, and of course they know him, and so that makes a lot of sense. I think there is an expectation in the league, like they're a favorite in the clubhouse among a few other teams. But yeah, look, the Dolphins. If the Dolphins want to trade somebody and get some value, trade Tyreek Hill. Because they're not getting anything for Jalen. Jalen Ramsey didn't play well last year, and I believe he's 30. He's expensive. The Dolphins foolishly gave him an extension. Like, they're not turning Jalen Ramsey into a day 2 or early day 3 pick unless they eat all or most of his salary, and they don't want to do that. And if that doesn't change, yeah, they're getting a really late pick.
We're joined by Matt Verderame here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Highline, Verderame on Sports Illustrated. And Matt, the Ravens have themselves a true kicking competition with the most accurate kicker in the NFL history, Justin Tucker, as they drafted a player in the draft, that being Tyler Loop, could potentially be Tucker's successor. What do you think happens in the Ravens training camp this year in the kicker competition?
Well, I think it's a real competition because of everything going on off the field, Justin Tucker, or at least allegedly. Listen, I mean, at some point here, if you're the Ravens, you're looking for a lifeline to get out of this whole situation. I mean, they have talked openly for years about the fact there's zero tolerance. Well, that is kind of gone by the boards here, at least if any of these allegations hold water, and there are many of them. Look, if Luke goes into camp and he's as good as Tucker, I don't think he has to be better than him. I think he has to be as good as him. If he's as good as him, he's gone. Now, Tucker obviously is a Hall of Fame level kicker who was atrocious last year. He could not kick over 50 yards, which has always been his hallmark. Is that a one-off? Does that change? Or is this something where he goes into camp and he just can't kick anymore and Luke outplays him or plays as well? I think if all things are equal, I think the Ravens will move off of Justin Tucker.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Gracious enough with his time to join us Mondays here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
That is Matt Verderame. We will step aside, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame for joining us on 580 Sports Talk. Always enjoy getting Matt's insight as we hit a bit of a lull in the day-to-day happenings in the National Football League.
Next week, we're going to have Matt pick every game.
We won't know all the games yet.
Matt, you've got to predict every single team's schedule.
Oh, he has to predict the schedule.
In a 14.5-minute interview.
Because he does. That's one of the things he does for Sports Illustrated is he predicts
Picks every game.
result. Yeah, picks every game, every team's record, all that. But no, we'll get him to predict the schedule next week. How many primetime games for the Chiefs?
I was going to say, maybe we can take a little pressure off. How many primetime games for the Chiefs?
Yeah, predict the Sunday night football schedule.
There you go.
The Commanders are doing a contest. If you pick the time, date, and game in which they play their home opener, you get sweet tickets to their home opener.
All right.
Nice.
A pretty nice gift.
We cannot do that.
No.
We
don't have that kind of pull.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of pull with folks.
I can find some Chiefs memorabilia in my office to offer you.
Yeah. How about a nice Chiefs pocket schedule from
2009.
Coming up at the 4:00 hour, we will talk some Chiefs. We'll hear from some of the rookies and head coach Andy Reid. We'll go mic'd up from Chiefs rookie minicamp. Plus, what is wrong with you? And is it good? Baseball edition. That's all coming up in the 4:00 hour. 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Hour number 2 on a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. We are online on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Wierzinski, Spencer Dupuis. We'll start this hour with a little bit of breaking news. Usually how this works, we have a guest on the show, and we ask the guest a question. And many times the question takes the form of, hey, here's a thing that could or could not happen. What do you think will happen? And the guest says, this is what I think will happen. Whether that guest is Matt Verderame, who we just had on the show, or thanks again to Matt, Tim Fitzgerald, Matt Derrick, whoever it is, we ask, what do you think will happen? And they say, here's what I think will happen. And then we have to wait and see what happens, and if they are right, and if they are wrong. Sometimes we only have to wait literally 2 minutes because when we went to break at the end of the 3 o'clock hour, news broke first from Adam Schefter of ESPN that the Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker. This not long after Spencer asked Matt Verderame last hour, hey, Baltimore's got a kicking competition. What do you think is going to happen? And Matt told us what he thought was going to happen. But he did not tell us, yeah, I think before I hang up the phone, they're going to be drawing up a press release explaining why they released Justin Tucker. The press release, statement, if you will, from the general manager of the Ravens, Eric DeCosta, reads, sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult. Oh, that's what this is? A football decision?
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of those instances. Considering our current roster, anything else? We have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant, unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in this next chapter of their lives. End of statement.
Everyone knows what he's accused of. Everyone knows why this is happening. Everyone. Why are you just say, like, hey, given everything, even if you wanted to skirt around it and be like, hey, given, the climate, whatever.
The events of recent weeks and months.
We have decided that it is in the best interest of the Baltimore Ravens to part ways with Justin Tucker.
Even just that sentence.
Yes.
The best interest of the Ravens. Other than, like, this is a strictly football decision. And there are people who will buy that because, again, as Matt laid out for us, he was bad at his job last year.
He was.
Yeah. But given the light of what happened, it's kind of hypocritical considering they just drafted somebody who fell because of allegations.
If you're a zero tolerance organization, which they drafted Mike Green, as you pointed out, so like obviously that is no longer a concern. They are now not a zero tolerance organization. They are we got to beat the Chiefs and get Lamar Jackson his ring. And if it means we got to take on some scalawags, we're going to do it. What kind of organization? But like, if you are so proud of that, then say it with your chest. Say with your chest that, we cut Justin Tucker because this stuff he's accused of is gross. And whether or not it's real, there are multiple allegations to the point where we don't feel comfortable having this guy on our football team. That's fine. That is a fine thing to say. You don't have to couch it in football reasons.
Well, here's the unfortunate part about that. They'd be lying because these allegations have been out there for years. So they were very comfortable having a guy with those allegations on their football team. They were not comfortable with that guy with those allegations having the allegations made public. That's what they were not comfortable with.
Yes.
But I'm with you. Like, just say it is in the best interest of the Baltimore Ravens to make a change at kicker. Okay, done. Just leave it at that. That's not even really touching on what should be touched on, but whatever. Just leave it at that. There's no need to talk about his reliability and drive and resilience. Bro, it's a kicker. Most football fans don't even believe they should have human rights as special teams players. Like, come on.
Considering our current roster is so funny. Like, yeah, we had to wait until we knew we could get another kicker.
We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. Not what he did while in Baltimore, not actively playing for the Ravens. Please do not ask us about what he did while he was not in between the white lines as a member of the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you. He's a kicker! There's no, you don't even employ him anymore. You don't have to make him look good. You fired him.
Just say, he's not good enough at his job to justify the fact that he also appears to be a nasty man.
Allegedly.
Yes, he appears that he may be a pervert. And
I don't get it, man.
Yeah, just
you cut him.
Like, what's the worst? Are you afraid people are going to storm the gates and picket like your practice facility over a damn kicker? Even the greatest kicker ever. Nobody cares about the damn kicker, man. Nobody cares.
You'd think the Ravens would know how to handle this a little bit better. Like the team that
you would think
Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and Ray Rice. Like you'd think that they were a little more prepared.
And most of the same leadership. Like they haven't turned over a lot of the leadership. It's the same coach.
Yeah. He's
the same front office largely.
Yeah, it's I just don't like, dude, it's a kicker. You can very easily. Justin Tucker 3 years ago, hard to replace, but still a kicker. Now, dog, he stunk. He was bad. Very bad.
And even the distance between like the really good ones and the ones who bounce from team to team it's not like the difference between the quarterbacks who are really good and the ones who bounce from team to team, right? The Chiefs had 3 different guys make a game-winning field goal for them this last year. There's kickers, man. They're replaceable. Unless you make memorable kicks, and to be fair, Tucker certainly did in his career as a Raven.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest ever, but still.
The Commanders had Zane Gonzalez win them a football game. They just cut him and brought in Matt Gay.
Like it's
like guy won them a round of the playoffs, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna be on a team next year.
From the 785, you can text the show today, 785-272-9429. Watch the Ravens sign Von Miller. I mean,
yeah, man. If they do, and it wouldn't be surprising, like they still need more.
We are going all in on roustabouts and scalawags to beat the Chiefs.
That wouldn't be the first.
Like in Slapshot, where the team at the end and they sign all the worst people in hockey to try and take down the Chiefs. Fitting,
right?
The Johnstown Chiefs. Yeah, Ogie Oglethorpe going to turn up wearing a Ravens jersey next year. Anyway,
Tyler says the Browns will sign it. Yeah, we got YouTube comments are great right now. Christopher mentions Nasty Man 2, or is he the original? We're just finding out about it now because he wasn't good at his job anymore when he had been the best ever. Yeah, there's the thing. It can't be coincidence that at the time when all these allegations came out was also when he had the worst year of his career. Like, there's got to be correlation there, right?
Oh, you would think.
He's a kicker, man. You don't need to sugarcoat it.
Great timing on the question, Spencer.
Yeah, that was really well done.
Really well done. Coming up this hour of 580 Sports Talk, in addition to your YouTube comments on the live stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and your text to 785-272-9429. We're going to do a round of What Is Wrong With You and play a little game called Is It Good? Long-term listeners will know the game. We come up with a topic and we ask, is this thing good? Is this team good? Is this player good? Is this trend good? Is it good? It's coming up. It's a baseball edition, a Major League Baseball edition of Is It Good, coming up later on this hour as well. But first, as promised, we're going mic'd up to Chiefs rookie minicamp. We've gotten a chance to hear from the rooks the last couple of days, 3-day rookie minicamp. It ends today out at One Arrowhead Drive. Andy Reid spoke yesterday. We've heard from a couple other players as well. But before that, I want to get to this cut. You found this clip. Was it Mina Kimes' podcast Ben Solak was on? Or?
Yes, it was last Monday, her first show post podcast or post draft, excuse me. I like the Mina Kimes show. I listen to most of her episodes. I think she does a good job. I'm a big fan of Mina Kimes. Yeah. Her show is I have like my dumb guy football podcast, my super nerdy football podcast, and then I like Mina because she like has the ability to talk to Stephen A. Smith on TV, but also actually knows what she's doing. I think it's a really good mix of the two. And she had Ben Solak, also of ESPN, on, and they were doing a segment on just, hey, throw out some picks you really liked. And Ben Solak didn't name one pick. He named, I believe, 4 different Chiefs picks that he really liked. And it really hammers home something I was trying to indicate last week about why I thought this was such a good draft for the Chiefs, why it made so much sense. So here's Ben Solak of ESPN on the Mina Kimes show talking about the Chiefs picks.
Want to try that again?
thought the Chiefs did quite well. Simmons is the exact sort of like
perfect
right.
at 32.
He's such a good space player. He needs the year, like, get healthy, whatever. Ashton Gelati, the edge out of Louisville, is just like classic Spags edge. He's bad at sacking the quarterback. He's good at everything else, right? Just like you just kind of like detonate him, you blow up a side of the line, somebody else cleans it up. Then Noah Williams, whenever Spags gets a DB, right, kind of in that middle round area, your ears perk up. Noah Williams in press coverage at Cal was a sight to see. He was really fun to watch. He's not super big, but he punched above his weight. And they have a lot of uncertainty at outside corner, right? Jalen Watson, Christian Fulton, Josh Williams. They have some rising free agents. They're adding Williams to that room, and someone's going to win a job. So as a third-round pick, he's in the 70s. He's going to have a chance to start early. Jalen Royals in the 4th round. I thought that was, air raid style receiver going to a spread style offense. Yeah, that's just good, solid Chiefs draft all over the place.
Okay, so of those players mentioned, let's go through them here very quickly one by one. Josh Simmons, tackle who can play in space. Does that sound like a Chiefs pick?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to Ashton Gelati. As Ben Solak mentioned, typical Spags edge who, didn't have a ton of sack production, but is really good against the run. He's big, he's strong, he can make plays on the edge. Again, sounds just like George Karlaftis coming out of college. Okay, yes, check. Noel Williams, not as big as the Chiefs generally like, but a guy who, again, mid-round, Spags kind of type of guy who plays really well in press coverage. Does that sound like a Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt defensive back? Yeah, it does. And then Jalen Royals, guy who played on an air raid spread offensive system in college, coming to the Chiefs that are, based on their talent maneuvering this offseason, probably going to try to spread the ball through the air a little bit more. Again, does that seem to make sense? Oh, yeah. And he did a really good job there kind of breaking down what I've been trying to indicate. That every pick just made sense. Like, these are guys that are in the mold of players the Chiefs have gone out and drafted or signed before. And if you're really good at something, and this was the theme of the entire NFL draft, if you're really good at something, don't just settle for really good. Go be great at it. Go add more guys who are good at what you are already good at and strengthen those things that are already strengths. And I think the Chiefs did that perfectly, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt that way. People much smarter than me felt the same way.
It's about knowing who you are as an organization and knowing the kinds of traits that make players successful in your program, in your system. And when you've done it long enough, when you've had a front office together long enough and a coaching staff together long enough, and you've won as much as the Chiefs have won, you have just a better sense of who you are and who's going to fit what it is that you do.
Yep.
And so I don't think it's a coincidence at all that this is a draft where the pieces really seem to fit. We're going to hear from a couple of the players. I want to play this clip from Andy Reid because the big question about this rookie class is about the first round pick, Josh Simmons, because A, he's the first rounder, and B, the ceiling is the highest. If this pick hits, it could be a grand slam. It could be the left tackle for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career. And Andy Reid was asked about what exactly Josh Simmons is able to do at camp while he works his way back from that torn patellar tendon that he suffered halfway through his last college season. Here's Andy Reid.
Josh is doing mostly the individual work. We try to keep him out of the team stuff if we're going against a defense. So just taking it slow here. We're just kind of getting a feel where he's at with this. So he had a kind of a heavy travel schedule during the 30 visit thing. So just make sure that thing's strong and go. But he looks like he's got some talent there, Matt. Doggone it. That's a good thing, right? So for what we can do, that's a plus.
And his injury aside, how will you, and I realize this is a months-long process of evaluation for the season, but how will you just evaluate his preparedness for it?
Yeah, it looks like he's moving around, but he's right on that kind of that where he just needs a little bit more time, but he's moving around well. I was surprised on how well he was doing out there moving. Yeah, and he looks like he's comfortable with it. So
that was Andy Reid.
If he hits you with a doggone it, you know he is convinced of what he is saying.
He hit Matt Derrick, our own Matt Derrick, with that doggone it there. Yeah, he clearly impressed with what he's able to see just in individual low-impact rehab drills with Josh Simmons. If it pops to a guy like Andy Reid from just the level of work that they're asking Simmons to do right now, that says there's something there. Like, I don't want to read too much into it, but I do think that was a telling response that, boy, he's got some talent. boy, he looks comfortable. He looks further along than what even Andy Reid expected. Really encouraging stuff to hear about the Chiefs' first-round pick. As for Simmons himself, this is what he had to say about where he's at in the process.
Attack rehab as hard as I can. That way, when training camp does come around, I can be the most help that I possibly can be. There's nothing really I can do to like kind of force, there's a lot of vets in here, and my thing is just stay out the way and work hard and be a helpful piece if I can.
I'm sorry to cut you off. His voice sounds a lot like Andrew Whitworth. They have a very similar voice.
Very deep timbre of voice there from Josh Simmons. Two things also that I think highlight this particular draft class. We talk about the fits, just the scheme fit or program fit, but there were two things that you kept hearing about these players as they were selected. The things that you heard the Chiefs front office say when they would speak to the media following the days of the draft a couple of weeks ago. You heard a lot of talk about character and that this is a high character group of guys. And we just came off of talking about Justin Tucker and the allegations against him. And there were some stories out there about some players in this draft, Maxwell Hairston, Mike Green, that maybe hurt their draft stock a little bit, certainly more so Green than Hairston, who still ended up being a first-round pick. And it is well documented that the Chiefs have not had a problem bringing a guy in with a past or keeping a guy with a present if they've committed some off-the-field transgressions of, varying shapes and sizes. But I thought it was notable that they talked about the character of this group. And one of the guys you talk about his character, talk about Ashton Gelati. Gelati, apparently, he got a decent NIL chunk his last season at Louisville and donated a lot of it. And he was asked about that. And look, doing nice things with your money is not like the only thing that makes you a good character guy. But I thought his response was revealing as to the way he sort of perceives himself and the way he perceives what is important to him. So this is Ashton Gelati asked about what he did with his NIL money at Louisville.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to my faith and really the calling I feel like God put on me. Like, I don't need half the thing. Like, I'm grateful with what I have. So, like, whatever I can give back, I'll give back because my mom ingrained that in me. My pastors ingrained that in me, my youth group leaders. So it's just, for me, it's been a calling, especially for veterans. Like, veterans was a big thing for me. Homelessness, that's another thing. Like, if I can give back in any way, that's I feel like that's what you're supposed to do, especially when you get in these positions.
It's pretty rare for a college kid or a kid who hasn't gotten to the NFL yet to have that sense of perspective about how important it is to get back and the causes that he wants to give back to. That's not how it is for everybody. So that was a really impressive answer, I thought, from Ashton Gelati, and really revealed a lot about the kind of guy that the Chiefs are bringing into the defense.
Yeah, I know. I had seen a lot of stuff after that pick was made that he was very, his interview was obviously very fun, his first media session, but it sounded like he was, high character guy, really well respected. Sounded like people at Louisville spoke very, very highly of him. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to complain about adding a guy like that to the team.
Gelati also has a chance to be one of the best talkers on this team. Here he is. This is apropos of nothing, but here he is telling a story about his Kentucky Derby experience while he played football at Louisville.
Yeah, I went to Derby last year, actually, and got the full experience. Actually, so I set very responsible limits for the day. So Derby, I lost. Like, I set my budget, and I just lost. So I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. But actually on Derby, it was a good day, man. I made it all back and made a little bit more. And I actually met a chief there because Kelsey was there. But so that was kind of cool.
Just a chief, just any chief. Not one of the best players in NFL history.
I bumped into Nick Allegretti that day, and I'll never forget it. No.
Yes. It was really cool meeting Niall Davis. That is pretty funny, underselling it like that.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That just seems like who the guy is, though.
Yeah, charismatic guy. He's got a sense of humor. I think he's going to be a favorite. I do. I think people are really going to like him. And
Derby itself, though.
I made it all back.
I bet you Travis Kelce is going to show up at the facility and be like, who are you? Not because he is a jerk, but because I bet you he does not remember a whole lot of it.
I don't think anybody who goes to the Kentucky Derby remember. Wes Welker failed a drug test after he went to the Kentucky Derby.
It's amazing.
He hung out with Von Miller for 45 minutes, and
it is amazing more guys do not fail drug tests after the Derby. I will say that.
It's called Molly, Wes. Anyhow,
that's so funny.
So
Wes Welker taking ecstasy. What a strange thing to have happen.
Only at the Run for the Roses. Character is the one thing. The other thing, and this is a commonality with a lot of the draft classes, and I'm sure that when we get to our training camp reports with Mitch Holtis, he's going to talk about this group of rookies and their intelligence, their football IQs, these smart guys. I was blown away by Jeffrey Bassa's media availability. You talk about a guy who is smart. And one of the questions that he was asked was about communication on the defense and how important that is to what he perceives his role to be on the team. This was Jeffrey Bassa talking about that.
I think it tremendously drives my game. A guy who, was responsible for doing all that at Oregon, I feel like that translates here as well, especially under Spags defense. You got to be a linebacker that can communicate, make sure your defensive line's set, and as well as making sure the DBs are on the same page as everybody else, right? So I took a lot of pride in that at Oregon. And so for me to have the same role kind of headed into a defense where, there's a lot of communication, I feel like, that's a perfect situation for me, right? So, and I just got to keep getting better at, making sure everybody's right, making sure I'm always one step ahead of the game.
This was a draft pick that when it happened, I don't think it made a ton of sense to me at first blush. Why are they drafting a linebacker? Just pay Nick Bolton. What are they going after a linebacker for? But the more I learn about the player and then hearing him speak to the media and talk about how he understands the game and what he understands his role to be and things like that, I totally get why the Chiefs would have been infatuated with bringing this player into their program. And I think he's got a role to play in the future on this team for sure.
I think he's the Drew Tranquill replacement next year. I really do. And I like Drew Tranquill. I think he's a very good player.
I do too.
But guy who, the athletic side-to-side linebacker in the group, if Bolton's not on the field, the guy who can take the green dot and be your signal caller for the defense out there, can do a bunch of different things, obviously high football IQ. It feels to me like they drafted their own guy to be the replacement for Drew Tranquill. And honestly, what kind of lines up is when Nick Bolton's new contract will expire and when Jeffrey Bassa will be potentially, if he pans out, getting a second contract. This feels very much like a long-term play for the Chiefs that Jeffrey Bassa is going to go from core special teamer and like sub-package role as a rookie to part of the 4-2-5 base group as a second-year player to maybe being your green dot if he's good enough to get a second contract. That's how this looks to me anyway.
You can definitely see what they like about him.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I'm fascinated to track his progress and see if maybe he forces the issue and forces his way onto the field in the way that Jaden Hicks kind of forced his way onto the field as a rookie. I think there are some similarities in how they're coming in and what they might be capable of vis-a-vis what they'll be asked to do. Like the Chiefs didn't need to lean on Jaden Hicks as a rookie, and they're not going to need to lean on Jeffrey Bassa, injury bug with notwithstanding. But I do think that is exactly right. That this was a draft pick, not less about 2025 than about this is one of the best players at this position, and he fits what we want to do. Let's go get him and get him into our program and get him a year where he can learn and adjust. He can learn from veterans like Tranquill and Bolton, and then we could really have something in 26 and beyond with him. I'm more and more excited about the idea of Jeffrey Bassa the further along we go.
Yeah, I want to say one thing. I feel like these Chiefs draft picks are very well spoken. Like sometimes draft picks guys just don't like the media, but it seems like these guys like to talk.
Yeah, there's clearly like a personality they were going after as well.
Yeah,
like look. Let's not beat around the bush here. The Chiefs have a reputation around the NFL, both probably from teams and certainly from fans. It doesn't hurt to add more guys who are likable and positive influences in your locker room because, like, the Chiefs are considered the team that, this guy got accused of DV. Oh, he's going to be a Chief. Okay. Yeah. Like, Chiefs are going to sign this guy. Chiefs are going to draft this guy. When Isaiah Bond got accused of sexual assault right before the draft. You want to talk about an idiot throwing his life away? Got accused of that. What was everybody's joke on the internet? Oh, Chiefs are going to draft him. Like, you know what's probably a smart idea just from an organizational standpoint? Bringing in guys who are positive influences and not that kind of guy. And I imagine that's probably part of the directive from on high in the Hunt family. Like, hey, let's bring in some guys who our fans can like feel good about rooting for.
Yeah, makes perfect sense from a business and from a locker room standpoint. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We've got MLB Is It Good coming up in a little bit. But first, our first round of What Is Wrong With You for a new week on 580 Sports Talk. It's a Monday, so it's a new week of What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Get Mo on your side. Give him a call, 785-273-1572. Two new stories today. I will go first. This is a very simple story. Going to Florida. We meet 56-year-old Vincent Conroy, who was drunk and Donald ducking it around a Florida parking lot early Wednesday morning. Shirt, no pants.
Nice.
Had a business hanging out. He had 2 wine bottles and a can of beer on his person. And when asked by police to identify himself, he provided the name Charles Dickens. That is not his name.
Nice.
Vincent Conroy.
Got him.
And he was charged with an open container and exposure of sexual organs counts and providing a false name to law enforcement. Spent a day in lockup, was freed on his own recognizance on Thursday. I just love the idea of a dead drunk mid-50s man, bright and early on a Wednesday, stumbling around a parking lot with his Charles Dickens out, and when confronted by police, hitting them with it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Man, that's such a funny line. While you're hanging out in another place.
Charles Dickens! Sure you are, pal.
See, I like to imagine it that he was just sober, like just coherent enough to eat it with, that you-know-what eating grin.
Uh-huh.
Charles Dickens.
So, yeah. Drunk and
That's funny.
pantsless and referring to yourself as Charles Dickens is no way to go through life, sir. That's my story. Spencer, what do you got?
A Texas mother who officials say took alcoholic Jell-O shots to her children's elementary school Christmas party has been arrested. Teresa Burnell, 33, was charged with injury to a child in connection to a party December 20th at Jones Elementary School in Tyler, Texas. Burnell purchased the Jell-O shots from a home business she found on Facebook, according to the arrest affidavit. You couldn't even make them.
You bought Jell-O shots on Facebook?
She's lucky these kids didn't die.
Yeah. The shots were laid out on a table along treats students had brought to share in the cafeteria where fifth grade classes gathered, officials said. 15 students consumed the shots. Nearly all reported, quote, having stomach aches and headaches.
Man, it couldn't hang is what it sounds like.
Lightweights.
One student told police he vomited twice in the school that day. And another student said he passed out in school after consuming the Jell-O shot.
Passed out. Drank.
One student had 6 Jell-O shots, got dizzy.
God!
When he returned to the classroom, he got dizzy, fell, and felt like he could not get back on his feet.
Probably because he could not get back on his feet.
Got his ass.
6 is a lot for me.
That's a lot, bro.
Needless to say, yes, she's not allowed back on school grounds.
When questioned by a school district police officer, Bernal said she did not know the shots had alcohol, but did concede, quote, they do taste different. Yeah, I'll say.
The Facebook sweets business Bernal had purchased the shots from had a clear disclaimer on its website stating the shots were made with Smirnoff vodka. The officer wrote in the affidavit, in my opinion, there is no way Bernal could have missed the fact that the Jell-O shots she purchased and brought to her daughter's 5th grade Christmas party contained drinking alcohol.
Also, I would think that
Smirnoff, like that's not the expensive stuff. Not like Grey Goose, but like
no.
Not top shelf, not bottom shelf
it's not
either.
bottom shelf.
Look, I would
It's not
think
Scotch.
I would think that teachers maybe would notice something. They're like, that looks. Let me. You open it and you go, oh yeah, there's a problem here.
Even like the thought of virgin Jell-O shots, 1, very funny. 2, why would you think that would be an appropriate thing to bring to a child's party?
Just make Jell-O.
Seriously,
Just put it in a bowl.
It ain't that hard.
She didn't buy Fleischmann's Royal vodka. You can get that for $11 a bottle.
I was once a part of a Facebook group called Kamchatka Got the Best of Me. I will not be taking follow-up questions. Man,
I gotta vote for the Jell-O shot, Mom.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the simplicity of a guy with his junk out telling the cops he's Charles Dickens. But man, this woman brought Jell-O shots, bought them off of Facebook.
See,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's the part of it that's ridiculous to me. Off of Facebook? Again, lucky that these kids did not die.
Virgin Jell-O shots are just Jell-O, says Vance. Thank you. Thank you, Vance.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's an easy winner for me today.
Yeah, man. Wow.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Good
we're throwing down a marker on a Monday with that one. And not just for Monday, but for the month of May.
Yeah, that's a high bar.
With that one. Wow. Jell-O Shot Mom is our champion on What Is Wrong With You. That is brought to you by State Farm Agent Ryan. Mo Winkle, he would never serve your child a Jell-O shot.
No, I'm pretty confident in that.
Nope.
Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Give him a call, 785-273-1572. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's America's favorite game show that we do on 580 Sports Talk and nowhere else. Is it good? Coming up next on 580 WIBW. 443 on 580 Sports Talk. Whoa, max headroom. That was cool.
That means something's wrong with Brendan's desktop audio because I had just turned it on.
Yeah, you got to mute the StreamYard.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, there you go. The Kansas City Royals are now 35 games into their season, 19 up, 16 down. Getting close. By the end of the week, we will be at, for the Royals and for many other teams, at Dayton Moore's fabled 40-game mark, where 40 games in, you kind of know who your team is, who they are, what they are, if they're good or not. And in that spirit, I felt like today, coming off a weekend, coming off some good baseball vibes, it's time to bring back America's favorite game that only appears on 580 Sports Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, cue the music. Let's play Is It Good? That's right. Is it good? The game where we consider people, places, and things and ask, are they good? Let's start. Is it good with the Kansas City Royals? Is it good? Let me start with the evidence. They are 19-16 on the season, winners of 11 of their last 13 games. They are over into the positive on run differential after this weekend. They scored 120 runs and allowed 119. So their run differential is back in the positives. They have, according to Baseball Reference, a 76% chance to make the postseason. Fangraph's a little more bearish, 44%. But
I feel like the answer's somewhere in the middle.
Right now, they would be a playoff team if the season ended. So the Kansas City Royals, as presently constructed, 19-16, are they good?
Yes, I think there are too many things that are good about this team to not consider them on the whole good, even if there are still some things that, like, I need to see a little bit more sustainability from the offense as a whole, but positive weekend, obviously. You've got a true superstar at shortstop. Your first baseman is starting to come along. Your catcher is addicted to doubles. He cannot get enough doubles. We need to somehow find a way to get him a fix for his addiction to doubles right now, Salvador Perez. Your starting pitching is elite. It's among the very best in all of baseball. And, statistically, Cole Reagans, at least in terms of ERA, is your worst starting pitcher so far. And Cole Reagans, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the 3 best starters in the American League. And your back end of your bullpen is good, legit. Estevez and Urseg, and man, Harvey before he got hurt, that's one of the best back end 1-2 punches in a bullpen you're going to find in the American League.
And we're not talking about him because probably we don't want to look at it because we're afraid to jinx it. But you know who's been pretty darn good lately? John Schreiber.
Yeah.
He was awesome on Saturday.
He's always had the stuff.
The velos ticked up.
Yep.
The way the slider was moving, he's been solid. ERA under 2.
You know, we speak negatively. We often bring it up with a negative connotation that relief pitching is fickle and,
yes,
it is very volatile and it's hard to predict. There is the flip side to that, and sometimes a guy who has a bad year follows it up with a good year. Just like sometimes guys who have good years have bad years after, like Sam Long. But John Schreiber is the opposite case. So, no, I think there's too much going in the Royals' favor to say that they're bad. So, yes, they are good.
Spencer, are the Royals good?
I think they are good, and I think it's as evidence to it as they found footing, and they've won 11 of their last 13 games.
Yeah, that's hard to go 11-2 if you don't have something going for you. Yep. It doesn't matter who you play, and certainly the Royals have taken advantage of a dip in the schedule after that tough road trip. They take advantage of playing a struggling Orioles team and the terrible Rockies. That's all true, but still, to win 11 out of 13 games, you got to have a lot going right. The pitching's been better than I thought, which has kind of balanced out the fact that the lineup has yet to produce the way that I expected, but that means I think there's a little bit more ceiling for the offense to get to, and I do expect that, yes, this is a good team and one that is going to be in the American League Central race for the duration of the season. From the team to the player, Maikel Garcia currently leads the Kansas City Royals in OPS with an 875 OPS after he hit 2 home runs in yesterday's 11-6 win. His batting average is a team-high 319. His on-base percentage, even with Bobby Witt Jr.'s, at 379. He has 13 extra base hits, 7 stolen bases, and has forced his way into Matt Quatrero's everyday lineup. I saw this stat. Royals Review retweeted it or re-skeeted it or re-xed it earlier today that Michael Garcia is top 10 in baseball in chase rate, which means he swings less or whiff percentage. So he swings and misses less than all but 10 players in Major League Baseball. He's also top 20. I really want to make sure I get this right, but he's got a really good statistical profile that he is carrying right now. The tweet says that he's 10th among all qualified hitters. It was chase percentage. It was right. So pitches outside the zone. He's not swinging at pitches outside the zone. He's 10th in contact percentage, means he's making the most contact, and 19th in hard hit percentage. Here is the list of other major league hitters who are in the top 20 among chase rate, contact rate, and hard hit rate. It's just him. It's just Michael Garcia.
Yeah.
With that statistical evidence in mind, is Michael Garcia good?
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got all sorts of statistical and eye test evidence that indeed he is. Now, I don't know that he can produce at this level over the course of an entire 162 games. I mean, right now he's got an 875 OPS. I don't know that he can keep that up, but the underlying numbers are really good. He's hitting the ball hard. He is, again, not chasing. He doesn't, not an elite walk taker, but he's not bad at it either, about 9% of the time. Doesn't strike out very much, doesn't swing and miss very much. He squares the ball up well. He's got speed. He's a good glove as well. I mean, yeah, he's all around. He's been very good this year. I would be willing to say that he is good, even if I do worry that probably can't produce quite to this clip for the entire season.
I don't expect him to hit 300 either, but the profile says this is all real improvement. This isn't just noise.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if it's not a flash in the pan, if it's not like one series, if you are continuing it more than one series or boom here, I think if it's a consistent go upward trend, I think he's good.
From the Royals to the team they're chasing in the American League Central, the Detroit Tigers are 22-13. They have scored 179 runs in their first 35 games. They are hitting the cover off the ball as a team. Tarek Skubal's doing Tarek Skubal stuff at the top of their rotation, and they enter today's action with a team ERA below 3. Are the Tigers good, Brendan?
Yeah, again, I think there's too much indicating that they are. Tarek Skubal is obviously elite. Reese Olson's had a pretty nice start to the year as well. Jack Flaherty has been solid. I mean, they've just got a really good rotation. Casey Mize has been really good to start the year. Wins and losses as pitchers don't really mean anything, but 5-1 with a 2.70 ERA is pretty impressive. Fielding independent, not great, but he has been productive. Jackson Jobe has been playable near the bottom of their rotation. The pitching is really good. The bullpen's been strong. Tommy Kahnle has been awesome. He's been fantastic.
Rocky, great.
At the back end of their bullpen. And, look, Javier Baez has already been worth a win and a half. He's playing center field for the first time in his career and doing it phenomenally.
Yeah, looks like he belongs out there.
He's
the most valuable Tiger.
I don't think he can keep that going. I'll just be frank. I do not think he can keep that going. However, they've done something to get that out of him, which they had not been able to do in previous years. Riley Green has played well. Gleyber Torres has been, in fact, even a little bit better than he's been over the course of most of his career. Torkelson, it seems, at least has somewhat figured it out. The power he has. He's certainly figured out how to get to power. Kerry Carpenter has played well, too. He's slugging over 550. I think they are good. Again, I worry about them being able to do this long term, but right now on May 5th, yeah, absolutely.
Spencer, the Tigers good.
I think they are, and I think it's pitching. And I think if you are at this point in the year, obviously you can't win a pennant. We discuss it all the time, but you can lose them. And I think they're setting themselves in a great position to where if they continue at their level, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a race for the AL Central.
I think they're good. I don't think they're this good. I think they got a ton of guys that are playing over their heads right now. Zach McKinstry is OPSing over 800. Javier Baez looks like the MVP version of himself from back in Chicago and doing it at a brand new position.
2018, what a year.
Dylan Dingler is OPSing over 800. You don't know what position he plays, probably, if you're on the other side of this radio. He's a catcher. They've got a bunch of guys. We talk about the backs of the baseball cards. They got a bunch of guys who the back of their baseball card says this is a bit of a small sample size spike in production. And look, ride it. They're red hot, just like they rode it to the playoffs last year. I think it's fair to call them right now the team to beat in the Central, but I feel about them like I felt about the Guardians all last year. Like, they certainly can keep this up. I don't know that I'd bet on them winning 100 games, but they've established themselves as the team to beat, but I do think they're overperforming a bit right now. That was Is It Good? We'll take a break. Come back with 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up the second hour of 580 Sports Talk. One more hour to go before we hand it off to Royals baseball at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Royals and White Sox open a 4-game set at the K tonight.
Paul on the YouTube feed says, no one's happier that MJ Melendez is in Omaha than Drew Waters. Maybe Drew's been unlocked. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, the fact that, hey, Drew Waters has been good. He's producing right now.
He's in the lineup tonight for the 16th time in 17 games.
Yeah, I don't know how long it'll keep going, but hey, ride the wave while you can.
Yeah.
MJ is 4 for 47 at Omaha. His on-base is higher than his slugging, and his on-base is 173.
Do you think they're going to cut ties?
No. You keep him through his contract.
He's on the 40, man. He must be working with something. Like, maybe they're really working with his swing, and it's not a results thing right now for him.
Which is fine.
And that's
you're
fine,
in AAA for instruction.
Yes, but I hope that's the case.
Agreed.
Because if you're a big leaguer, you can't go 4 for 47 against AAA pitching unless it is process over results right now.
Right.
And maybe that's what it is. We don't know. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got our headlines. We got a supersized playoff roundup, and we will preview that series opener between the Royals and the White Sox on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3, 580 Sports Talk on a Monday afternoon. One more hour hanging out with you on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. We are on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. You can also watch us on Facebook at WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, and Spencer Dupuis rocking with you for one more hour before we hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network. Cole Reagans is back on the bump in his scheduled place in the rotation. The Royals turn over the rotation after Lorenzen started yesterday, so it's Reagans back. He'll take on Shane Smith of the White Sox. Game 1 of a 4-game series between those AL Central foes. Royals went 12-1 against the lowly White Sox last year, and the White Sox are better this year, but not by a whole bunch. So the Royals will look to keep the good times rolling. Winners of 11 of 13 entering tonight. First pitch at the K, 6:40. So we'll have pregame coverage from the Royals Baseball Network at 6 o'clock sharp.
Remember when the White Sox were managed by Grady Sizemore for a few weeks last year? That was weird.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Grady Sizemore was a good player.
Grady Sizemore was an excellent player. Grady Sizemore,
Injuries hurt him, right?
yeah, he couldn't.
I mean,
stay
literally,
healthy.
they did.
Yeah,
but,
he had a 4-season run from age 22 to 25, where he finished in the top. He finished with MVP votes all 4 years, top 12 in MVP 3 times, 2 Gold Gloves, a Silver Slugger, and in those 4 seasons, batted .281 with an .868 OPS, averaged 27 homers and 29 steals per year, and then never played in a full season ever again.
You know what's a funny look at how how baseball has changed? In 2006, Grady Sizemore led the American League in wins above replacement and finished 11th in MVP voting. I think a lot of voters now, maybe not the ones who hate statistics because they failed math in 4th grade and just never got over it, but most voters, I think at the very least, even if they don't get what WAR is, they have been conditioned to think big number WAR equal good. And they'll just be like, okay, yeah, that MVP vote. I'll put you 3rd in our ranked choice. I'll vote for you MVP because I didn't actually watch this season, whatever.
The American League wins above replacement leader in 2006 was Johan Santana. He finished 7th in MVP voting, but did get a first place vote.
Wow.
So Justin Morneau won it that year narrowly over Derek Jeter. Jeter was a lot more valuable than Morneau that year. Also not as valuable as Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau's teammate, who finished 6th.
Well played.
So
Mauer.
the 3rd most valuable twin won the American League MVP in 2006.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. What a
Yeah,
the game has changed.
The turning point was when Felix Hernandez won the Cy Young that year. He went 13-12.
2010, was it?
That would have been 2010. Yeah. He wasn't even an all-star that year. And he went 13-12, but he had a 227 earned run average and led the league in innings pitched and was the most valuable player in the American League by wins above replacement. And won the Cy Young that year. And I think from that point forward,
he threw 249 and 2/3 innings.
Real ball, what that was. So I'm sorry, he led pitchers in wins above replacement that year. The wins above replacement leader that year in the American League was Josh Hamilton, who did win the MVP. Anyway, but I think that was a sea change. That was the year right around 2010. That was when the analytics revolution was starting to win. That was the point at which we realized, okay, well, yes, batting average and home runs and RBI are really pretty stats and they're fun to look at, but also there are other ways to measure value to a team that maybe ought to be considered as well as they became more widely dispersed and understood.
And I do think too, and we don't have to get into the value of analytics discussion right now, but I think even, the hardcore stat nerds are batting average doesn't mean anything. I don't want to see it. It does nothing for me. I think for certain players, batting average is important. It is a useful stat. Guy on my favorite team, Nico Horner, hit for no power. Absolutely. He'll hit some doubles. He has no pop. None at all. He is an old school slap contact hitter. Batting average is important for a guy like that because that is his go-to offensive tool. get on base and then steal second. He's a very old school kind of player. It's meaningful there.
Yes,
Batting average for Aaron Judge means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, it means a lot right now because he's hitting 423.
Well, that part, yes.
So
often.
The thing about batting average is not that, we think batting average is stupid, ignore batting average. It's just that we understand that a high batting average is not the end-all, be-all of how we measure a player's offensive value.
Right.
It is much more valuable to get on base than it is to get a bunch of hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is better to have like Aaron Judge in 2023. I'm looking at his baseball reference page right now. It's hysterical. Yeah. We didn't get to him and Is It Good? I kind of wanted to if we'd had time. But, obviously Aaron Judge is good. We might be looking at the best right-handed hitter we've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly because I was pretty sure the answer to that question for the rest of my natural life was going to be Albert Pujols.
Uh-huh.
Because it was Frank Thomas, and then it was Albert Pujols. And I thought it was going to be Pujols until I dropped dead. And Aaron Judge, man, holy cow.
Yeah.
Dude, he's hitting 423. The league is hitting like 230.
Yeah,
and he's hitting
crazy.
423 right now. Anyway, but Aaron Judge in 2023 hit 267 with a 406 on base percentage. That is more valuable offensively than if a player hits 320, but they get on base at a 380 clip. It's better to get on base more or slug higher. We understand that Luis Arraez hitting 350 is nice, but would you rather have a lineup of 9 Luis Arraezes or 9 Aaron Judges? It's no contest.
Yeah, I'll take Aaron Judge. I'll take him.
By
By the way,
I will be brave enough to say it.
Real quick note on King Felix, because if you were watching baseball at the time, you knew he was great. From 2008 through 2015, so a stretch of 8 seasons. Again, 8 years, his entire 20s, essentially, 20 through 29. He averaged 225 innings pitched per year with an ERA of 2.90. He was incredible.
He averaged 225 innings.
Yeah.
Do you know how many major league pitchers threw 225 innings last year?
3.
0.
Wow.
The league leader in innings pitched last year was Logan Gilbert, 208 2/3. There were 4 200-inning guys in baseball. Nobody got close to 225 innings.
We were wow, Seth Lugo threw 140. Is his arm going to fall off?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but it really was a different sport.
Yeah, I miss it.
Baseball has changed that much in that short amount of time. But yeah, man, King Felix was a horse. Made his 30 starts every year, went deep into games, 25 career complete games. Which
Seth Lugo was one of those guys through 200 innings, by the way.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's real ball. I love talking real ball.
I want. Okay, this is not a way to build a winning roster at this point in time. I understand that. I want a rotation full of dudes who barely top out at 91, who face 7+ innings of batters every game. I want dudes who are going to be good for 7 to 8 innings because they just don't throw the ball very hard and they just paint the corners. That's what I want. You can't win like that anymore, but that is baseball to me. That is what I want to see. Go deep into games. Throw 220 innings a year.
There has to be an incentive to develop your pitchers to do that, and right now there is not, because there are 13 pitchers on a major league pitching staff, and you can just why let a starter face a lineup a third time when you know that they're not as good. You have this information now that you know there's a penalty for going through the lineup a third time, and you can go to your 7th best reliever who throws 97 with a split, and you just go to him in the 6th inning.
Your starting pitchers should have to throw a certain number of innings combined over the course of the year, or a child dies.
Okay. Didn't think we were going there.
All children, keep your ticket stubs, or your apps, I guess. They don't have ticket stubs anymore. And one of you, if your starting pitchers do not throw enough innings, if your team is still stupid enough to be doing the opener, a child will die.
We've kind of phased out the opener a little bit. The opener is now a break glass in case of emergency thing.
Yeah, it's not a every time by the Tampa Bay Rays.
I hate to be a hometown homer guy. The Brewers did it the other day against the Cubs, and it blew up in their face so badly. Cubs scored 10 runs against the opener and in the first 3 innings against the actual starter. It was awesome. No one does. That is an era I'm not sad to see fall by the wayside.
No,
that's fake ball.
Yeah.
That's gimmick arcade ball. I don't want to see
unethical hoops. Yeah, all the way
MLB
around.
The Show 3-inning game ball. No, thank you. when your pitcher starts getting tired 2 outs into the first inning.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Nah, that's real.
Oh, your pitcher is worn out. It's George Kirby. Come on.
I would love for the space to have a longer form discussion about how Major League Baseball restores the importance of the starting pitcher, because I think that
put lives on the line.
that's one way. No bad ideas. We're spitballing here. But like, that's the name on the marquee tonight at Kauffman Stadium is Cole Reagans, right? Like, that can be the selling point so often, is in terms of, am I going to watch this baseball game or not? Like, if you are a baseball person and you decide, am I going to watch this game or not? You look at the starting pitching matchup. You look at the probables. And Paul Skeens is going for Pittsburgh tonight. I want to see him. Yes. Yoshi Yamamoto's off to a great start for that Dodgers. I want to see him pitch. But like, there's no guarantee you see those guys much longer than half the game anymore. And that something is lost when you don't feel like, okay, I'm going to see this dude. He's going to go into the 7th. He might go into the 8th, and he's going to shove. And our lineup's got to try and figure out this dude. They don't have any. Yeah. They don't make them like that anymore.
Skeens is going about 6 innings a start, 42 2/3 over 7 starts. Like, I want to see more. Like, 6 should be the bare minimum. Yeah. I want to see more than that. And for all my complaints about baseball not doing a good job of marketing itself and its players, and it could do more to say, like, hey, these dudes are cool. Come watch these cool players. I think there's a long way to go. I think the easiest way to do that is to have 6 starting pitchers who pitch a long game. I really do. Because you're going to go to a game, and the best player on the field, the most interesting player on the field, is going to be out there for a large portion of the game. If you got Blake Snell on the marquee. Wow, he's awesome. Oh, wow, we've been here for 58 minutes, and he's done. Like, that sucks.
Here's the problem with that, though. That means that there will be 180 regular starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, and there aren't that many good ones. Trust me, I know.
Well, yes. That is true. But at least for the ones that matter.
No, I get it. Like, I get what you're saying.
I want to see Cole Reagans.
It's not a bad idea. Like, again, a little bit more practical than your first plan, but
make it the manager's kid. Coach, my arm. I can't take it. Get out there.
Text line is open, 785-272-9429.
How are we 12 minutes into the segment?
If you can't come up with a better idea than that, I'm going to write a letter to Rob Manfred. You have 41 minutes, text line.
We're going to do some Royals talk a little bit. We'll do a playoff roundup as its own thing because the conference semifinals are underway or about to be underway. But let's do some 580 Sports Talk headlines because we do have some to get to today. Our first one comes to us from KU Athletics. Assistant coach Hall of Famer Norm Roberts announces retirement after 37 years, 14 of them spent on the Kansas staff, part of staffs that won 7 Big 12 regular season titles, 3 Big 12 tournament titles, went to 4 Elite Eights, and won the 2022 National Championship. Norm Roberts is calling it a career following 37 years in the basketball coaching ranks, saying in a statement, I want to thank everybody at the University of Kansas and from everywhere I've been lucky enough to coach. I've been fortunate that I've never worked a day in my life. Being able to coach at Kansas and be part of this program has been unbelievable. After 37 years as a coach, it's time for me to move on and enjoy my family. Norm Roberts leaves the KU coaching staff, and he had left before. He was on Self's first staff at KU and then became the head coach at St. John's. He was there for 6 years, and then after his time at St. John's ended, he returned to KU and was one of Self's most trusted deputies.
Spent a year with Billy Donovan mixed in there as well on one of Billy's last staffs at Florida. So Norm Roberts has actually been with Bill Self even longer than that. He started as a D2 head coach. I believe it was when Queens was still in Division II. They've since moved up. I'm sorry, this is actually Queens, New York, which is still in Division II. That's where he played as well. He played until 1987 and became the head coach in 1991. He was like 26 years old when he became a head coach. That's crazy. He joined Bill Self's staff in 1995 at Oral Roberts.
Yeah. So they were together a long time.
Followed him to Tulsa, followed him to Illinois, followed him to KU, got the St. John's job, came back right after the 2012 National Championship game. I have nothing but positive things to say about Norm Roberts. Great guy, great interview, positive, good recruiter. as the story goes, I believe it was Norm Roberts who found Frank Mason in the back gym in Las Vegas, little kid who was committed to Towson. I believe that was Norm Roberts. I have nothing but positive things to say about Coach Norm. I really do. Coach Rob, I believe, is actually what the players called him. His son played at KU for a little bit.
Yeah,
Nico. So I'm happy for him. Congratulations on a great career. I wish him all the best in retirement. He's 59 and retiring, man. He's going to have a very long, fruitful time in retirement. I do think for KU, long-term, and this isn't a criticism of Norm Roberts or anyone in particular, I think it will be very valuable to Kansas to have some new eyes on the program and to have some new voices in that room. Again, it's nothing against Norm Roberts in particular, but I do think it will be valuable to have some different perspectives, some guys who might see things a little bit differently, some guys who bring some different things to the recruiting trail. I think that is going to be very valuable for Kansas in the long term. And who knows? Maybe this is part of something bigger. There are rumors out there. There have been rumors for months that something might be changing. And who knows from this point forward. But I do think it is going to benefit KU long term to get a little new blood in there. I assume Chase Buford is who was on the bench this year, his first year with the team, former RC Buford's kid, obviously a KU guy. He has been a professional coach in Australia before. He's been a pro. He's been a championship-winning coach as a head coach before. I assume he is going to get a bigger role on the bench this year. That would be my expectation. But we'll see who KU brings in. But congratulations to Norm.
Yes, well earned retirement, and wish him all the best, and able to enjoy that time with his wife and his children. Both of whom I think work in basketball. One of them works for the Mountain. Nico, I think, works for the Mountain West Conference.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, he's the associate commissioner for basketball at the Mountain West Conference.
Good for Nico.
Justin works for the Boise State Athletic Department.
Good for both of them.
Yeah, very cool. Anyway, congrats to Norm Roberts on a great career. Brendan, first headline for you.
Speaking of people who used to work for Kansas Athletics, I haven't gotten really angry on the show in a while.
Oh, good.
I'm going to get angry. Very briefly. From ESPN, the headline from Heather Dinich, the college football playoff reporter, CFP adds Troy Dannon and Jeff Long to selection committee. And let me tell you something, brother. When I saw this headline, I thought, this ain't who I think it is. Jeff Long. That Jeff Long? Mr. Almost didn't give Bill Self a new contract? Jeff Long? Mr. Sham football hire? Jeff Long? Mr. said horrific things about a booster? Jeff Long? That guy? Unbelievable that he is going to be trusted to be a committee member on the college football playoff committee. I would not put him on a toilet scrubbing committee. This is ridiculously bad. Okay. The other person included here, Nebraska Athletic Director Troy Dannon.
He's fine, we assume.
Yeah, he's the new chair of the selection committee, I think. And Jeff Long, who was the inaugural chair of the selection committee, he is back on a one-year term filling in for former journalist Steve Weiberg, who stepped down for personal reasons. I don't know what to say about Troy Dannon. I have nothing for you.
He's
on
not
that.
Jeff Long. Got
He's
that
not.
going for him.
I'm honestly mad at Heather Dinich for how she wrote this. Long spent 40 years working in college athletics as a coach and administrator. Currently, he's a consultant. Of course he is. Long returns to the committee after having served from 14 to 18. He was the initial chairman in the first two seasons. He spent 22 years as athletic director at Kansas, Arkansas, Pitt, and Eastern Kentucky. Why did he get fired from Kansas, Heather? Please make reference to the time that Sam Mellinger effectively ended this man's career. Thank you very much. In what regard?
In what regard?
That is, to this day, and probably forever, the most startling moment from a press conference I have ever been privy to. Like, your hires have not gone well. In what regard? Sam, I remember Sam going on Twitter after that, being like, I was not trying to make him look bad. It's like, no, he did that plenty himself.
No, he did it himself. Because the question was a fair one. Because
Completely.
He made some big-time hires at Arkansas that were big-time failures. And so it was a fair question to ask, and Jeff Long went on the defensive immediately. Well, in what regard? And Sam Mellinger just looked him in the eye, recovered, caught his bearings, and said, on the field?
This is ridiculous.
Like, wins and losses? Like,
Jeff Long is the worst.
I can't
Terrible
believe
move.
I can't believe they
Terrible.
still let him hang around college athletics. That is really baffling. He was hired as the KU athletic director to get Les Miles to KU.
And look how that worked out.
Mission accomplished.
You know the funny thing, though? Les Miles is not the worst KU coach from the decade of disaster. I mean, he couldn't do anything, but Jalen Daniels was a Les Miles recruit.
Yeah, he was.
So was Luke Grimm.
Wasn't all bad.
Technically, so was Devin Neal.
haven't heard from Les Miles lately. Not making a lot of public appearances these days.
He's chilling in his apartment in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, the one right across from the stadium with a bed and some memorabilia. Looked very lived in on Miles to go.
My God.
Answer. Give us the headline.
Yes, a familiar name is coming back. The new Topeka hockey team will be named, drum roll please, the Topeka Scarecrows, as the decision was announced following a vote between the 5 finalists that included the Roadrunners, the Capitals, the Tornadoes, and the Wizards. The Scarecrows, for you native Topekans. 98-01 was the team name for the I believe it was the United Hockey League back then.
They were in the
Central Hockey League. Yeah. Central Hockey League from 98 to 2001. The Scarecrows were also one of the teams that the FPHL had used in February.
Yep, right.
During their weekend that they were here. They will play in the Federal Prospects Hockey League at Landon Arena at Stormont Vale Event Center beginning in October.
We talked about this, Dan. You weren't here at the time. I think this was just for headlines one day. Spencer and I talked about it. Scarecrows, Roadrunners, Capitals, Tornadoes, Wizards. What would your vote have been for?
They're all retread names, so I would have suggested do something new. But, I kind of like Scarecrows. It's unique. Like it's not something like there are other Roadrunners out there. There are other Capitals. Obviously, there are.
Tornadoes and Tornado. Wow.
Yeah, Tornadoes and Wizards are a bit overdone around here. I like Scarecrows.
I do too. I would have gone with Scarecrows or Roadrunners. My problem with Roadrunners is the proposed logo looked just like UTSA, like just like Texas A&M.
I'm looking forward to the "Let's Go Crows" chants at Landon Arena.
I'm excited to go catch a game.
Yeah,
hopefully many.
Very excited to have hockey back.
Yeah, if you're listening to Speak of Scarecrows, we could do some promotion for y'all. I'm willing to go on. I can go take my phone and go on some skates and try to do some stuff on the ice.
Ringside reporter?
No.
Can you skate?
No.
Oh, I can't. I
can't either. No.
But if you're looking for ringside reporter, I'm right here.
580 Sports Talk learns to skate with the Topeka Scarecrows. That's a free idea.
Boom.
We'll do it the day after we run the hot dog race.
Yes. Priorities. We're going to do the hot dog derby at Coffin Stadium. Then we're going to learn to skate with the Scarecrows.
Done.
Which I told you guys off the air, the last Topeka team that had hockey in 2020.
Yeah, the Pilots.
The Pilots actually produced a player that played for the Montreal Canadiens. Their goalie, he's from overseas. I can't say his name, but he had to start the final, I think it was 3 games of their run in the playoffs before they lost to the Capitals. So,
good history of hockey in town.
Yeah, like real players come out of there.
Tyler suggests the Topeka Wheat Whackers. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Jakob Dobish, I believe.
Yes.
Is the
Jakob.
The player in question.
I was going to say Dobas, but I didn't want to be wrong.
I think that that caret above the S in his last name means you put a little stank on it. Anyhow, that's going to do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. But wait, you forgot the playoff roundup. No, we didn't. We're doing a supersized playoff roundup when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. Before we get to the roundup, a couple of suggestions from YouTube and the text line for hockey team names. Mark B suggested the Topeka Reapers. That kind of,
I like it.
That would be pretty cool. Also, one from the 785. This one is it is Topeka, my dudes coded. The Topeka Hotel Mongers.
No comment.
Yeah, we're not all the way going there, but very funny. You made us laugh.
You know what people have not made a suggestion for? Better ideas to extend starting pitchers in Major League Baseball games that don't include a child dying. You have 27 minutes left. I will be drafting a letter to Rob Manfred.
Let's do the playoff roundup, shall we?
Don't tempt me.
The conference semifinals are here. This is the fun part of the playoffs where, like, you have fewer games, but you still have, like, 4 series going in each league. So you still got, like, a cavalcade of games each and every night, and you're down to good teams now. Like, there are no jokers, there's no bums left in the playoffs. There's no like Memphis going to turn up and get swept or anything like that. Like, this is real hoops and real puck. The conference semifinals. We'll start in the NBA because their conference semifinals are already underway. Indiana surprising Cleveland 121-112 in game 1 of their series out east. The other Eastern semifinal opens tonight, Boston and New York. I think Cleveland will still win that series, but Indiana's got a chance to push that series deep, I think, against a very good Cleveland team. It could be a fun series if game 1 is any indication. Those two teams were filling it up.
Halliburton was awesome.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, really, really good NBA player.
Yes,
as it turns out.
Very good player.
You were on the ground floor of that if you were watching Big 12 basketball about half a decade ago.
God, so annoying. Such an annoying player to face.
I think Boston's going to beat New York in 3 games. Like, I think that series is going to be nasty, brutish, and short.
I would not be surprised.
I know they're banged up, but I still think Boston handles New York no problem. Out west, Denver at Oklahoma City tonight in game 1. Nuggets beat the Clippers on Saturday night in game 7 to advance to take on a Oklahoma City team that has played their starters, because they rested their starters at the end of the regular season once they got the number 1 seed locked up. They have played their starters. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, all those guys. They've played 4 basketball games since April 11th.
That's not many.
No, it's not. And obviously they won them all. They're 72-14. They're a really great team. This would be also the one series, even though Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be announced as the NBA MVP at some point this week. This is the one series where you can say Oklahoma City doesn't have the best player, because Denver has the best player because they have Nikola Jokic. And I think Jokic is a better matchup against Oklahoma City than he was against the Clippers, because the Clippers had Ivica Zubac, who was big enough to kind of lean on Jokic a little bit. Chet Holmgren weighs 125 pounds. He's a coat rack. Like, he can block shots, but he's not going to trouble Jokic. Isaiah Hartenstein isn't going to trouble Jokic the way that Zubac could, being physical with him. So I think this is actually a really fascinating matchup. I think Oklahoma City probably wins. I just think they have their depth is going to matter. Denver's only got like 7 playable guys, and one of them is Russell Westbrook. So that's always going to go.
Yeah.
You never know what way that's going to go. Oklahoma City probably wins the series, and I think they certainly win tonight because Denver will be exhausted coming off of that 7-game series. But, like, as Nikola Jokic himself would tell you, don't bet against the fat boy.
I want to take Thunder in 6. I would not be shocked if Denver does win this game, though. This feels very much like the running on pure adrenaline kind of game. Now, I would not be shocked if Denver won tonight and then the Thunder won 2 or 3 in a row. But I would be surprised. I would not be shocked if Denver found a way to dig deep and to win it. But I do think over a longer period of time, and that's the thing about sports that have a best of 7 series, is generally, not always, but generally the better team wins because you get a larger sample size than, say, the NCAA tournament or, the NFL playoffs or whatever.
And we'll see how much Oklahoma City's depth matters in a playoff series, because it matters over 82 games. That's why they won 68 games. But how much does it matter when it matters a little bit more who your best 5 guys are?
I wonder if part of the attack is just you rough up Jokic every play as best you can and just dare the officials to call fouls. I wonder how much that'll be part of the plan.
They never do, which is part of the frustrating thing about rooting for Jokic, because he gets a terrible whistle. But no, it's a little strange from this Nuggets fans' perspective, because they are underdogs in the series, and it will not be surprised they lose. And it's a little fun to root for an underdog and not have any expectations. It's a little freeing, in some ways.
It is. No, I certainly agree with that.
So it should be. I think it's gonna be a fun series, though. It'll be really fascinating to see the teams were 2-2 against each other in the regular season. Be an interesting chess match. The other Western semifinal will start tomorrow night. Golden State beat Houston in Game 7 of their first round series last night. That was a disgusting basketball game.
Counterpoint. 103-89. That is a basketball score. I'm done with, oh, wow, the Thunder defeated the Grizzlies 159-138. No, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. That's more, to me, I know it was like, oh, you don't play defense. In the regular season, they kind of don't. But I think that is an officiating problem. I think officials are way too lenient in the regular season, and it leads to these very competitive and rougher postseason games. They're officiated completely differently, and then fans are not used to it. And players are not used to it either. I think we need to see officiating like this every single game of the year, personally. That's my personal
I would agree with that.
I don't think it's a defense thing. I think it's an officiating thing.
I also think last night's low score was not a function necessarily of, elite defense. It was a function of Houston doesn't have anybody who can create offense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they need – that's the team, honest to God, that should trade for Giannis.
Amen Thompson's really good.
Amen Thompson is awesome.
He's really good.
If they could trade for Giannis without having to include him, like I'd trade anybody else not nailed down on that roster for Giannis.
They would do anything to give up Jalen Green.
They really
He
would.
was terrible.
Golden State, Minnesota, we'll make a prediction on that series tomorrow when it opens up for Game 1. But that is the other semifinal as Minnesota has been cooling their heels after they eliminated the Lakers in 5. Over in the NHL. So the Avalanche lost Game 7 on Saturday. It was and it was a tough one. They were up 2-0 early in the third, and then
most dangerous lead in hockey.
The ball got the puck, rather, if you will, got rolling downhill, and Dallas scored 3 times in the final. They scored 3 in about an 8-minute stretch. They got 2 power play goals. One of them a lucky bounce. One of them a penalty should have been called for the go-ahead goal. It was especially painful because the guy doing all the damage had been on track to get his number retired by the Avalanche until he was traded at the deadline to Carolina. And they figured, okay, we're going to trade Mikko Rantanen because we can't re-sign him. It's just going to be too expensive against the cap, and he's not going to sign with us for the money that we can offer him. So let's get him out of our sight. Let's trade him to Carolina. And Carolina had him for a month. It was like, well, we're stupid. We're not going to re-sign this 50-goal power forward. What if we just send him to Colorado's most direct division rival? And then he ends up sticking the dagger in with a hat trick. 7.
Yeah, it's tough.
That was not fun. But it was also not the worst way a team lost a Game 7 over the weekend, because the St. Louis Blues had a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes to play in their Game 7 against Winnipeg, gave up the tying goal with a second and a half left, and then lost in double overtime. I don't think this is exaggerating to say that's the greatest moment in the history of the city of Winnipeg. I don't believe the Jets have ever been to a conference finals.
No, and they were the Atlanta Thrashers like 20 years ago.
Yes, this iteration of the Jets. I don't know if the previous iteration of the Jets ever went to a conference final. I don't think they did. So this is a big honking deal in hockey's smallest market. So Winnipeg, moving on, they defeat the Blues in 7 games. That completes the semifinal field in the NHL. Tonight, the Eastern Conference semifinals begin. Florida at Toronto. I'm going to turn things over to our hockey correspondent, Spencer Dupuis, since I'm going to keep it all the way real with you. I'm probably not watching any more hockey till like April of next year. So in the interim, Spencer, who you got in the East?
In tonight's game?
Yes.
I got Florida.
You think, or in the series? You think Florida wins the series?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you can bet against Toronto in the playoffs.
Yeah, and look, it's the Canada thing. Like, they don't win although there are 3 Canada teams left. 4. What do we have?
We got Toronto, we got Edmonton, and we got Winnipeg.
Yeah, so there's 3 teams left in the conference semis, which is like, wow, that never really happens.
Winnipeg is like the sentimental favorite, I think. I will be rooting for them like I have roots in Manitoba. I got to be honest with you. I will be pulling for them very hard. Not the least because they're playing Dallas.
They're neighbors with the Blue Bombers. I cannot support the Winnipeg Jets.
I understand how you feel. So you're taking Florida in that series. I don't need to ask who you're taking in the Carolina-Washington series, which opens tomorrow, but why are the Capitals going to beat the Hurricanes?
Because Alexi Protas is back. 1, Logan Thompson is a beast in net. he has been so dominant, and Ovechkin's still scoring in the playoffs, which is huge for this team because also secondary scoring. You got a bunch of guys that you've never heard of that have scored in these games. Brandon Duhaime, Dougie, like what? Like who is this guy? Right? Like he's scoring. They've got a bunch of guys.
That is a great question.
This team is like very giving me like, and I don't say this lightly, like it's giving me 2018 Capitals vibes. Like
that is the team that won the Stanley Cup for those unfamiliar.
Like very connected vibes. Like everything is a joke. Like everything is an inside joke. Like
positive vibes in the clubhouse. Yeah.
So yes. So I've got Washington in 6.
Washington in 6. Quickly, give me the 2 winners of the Western Series. Edmonton and Vegas starts tomorrow. Dallas and Winnipeg begins Wednesday.
Yes, I've got Vegas beating Edmonton because
Canada.
And I have Dallas beating Winnipeg only because Winnipeg seemingly was the team that was supposed to be the best team, right? They won the President's Trophy.
Yep.
And I know you're rooting for them because they're playing Dallas, but seemingly Winnipeg is starting to go like this. It took them 7 games, right? Took them 7 games to beat the St. Louis Blues, which was the worst team in the playoffs.
I don't mean to be dramatic, but a Vegas-Dallas Western Conference final again would be proof that there is no God. Or at the very least, if there is one, they have forsaken the sport of hockey.
Yes, but I just think Winnipeg is running out of juice.
That's the playoff roundup. We'll come back, preview Royals-White Sox Game 1 tonight on 580 Sports Talk. .547 on 580 Sports Talk. That means in 13 minutes, the Royals Baseball Network steps in here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 to bring you pregame coverage as the Kansas City Royals open a 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox tonight. It's Cole Ragans and Shane Smith, the starting pitching matchup to open the series. Ragans went through his throwing session on Friday, came through it with flying colors. Royals chose not to disrupt the rotation and just plug Reagans back into his spot between right at the top of it, right before Seth Lugo goes tomorrow. So it'll be Reagans tonight against a White Sox lineup that, according to OPS Plus, is collectively 19% worse than league average. And I know you're thinking, wait a minute, the Royals haven't been very good either. They're only 14% worse than league average now. Take that.
And pitching wise, I'm going to take Reagans over Shane Smith.
Shane Smith has probably been the White Sox best starting pitcher, though the 2.23 ERA he carries in 6 starts is a little deceiving. Only 26 strikeouts. I say only 7 strikeouts per 9 used to be awesome. Used to think those guys were really good. Now it's like sub-average, not really what you want. But he's kept the ball in the ballpark, his limited hits so far, and free talent fine for the White Sox. He was a Rule 5 guy, so good job by their front office finding somebody to soak up some innings. This is a collection of real people who comprise the Chicago White Sox bullpen. Bryce Wilson, Penn Murphy, Cam Boozer, Jordan Leisure, Mike Vasil, Brandon Eisert.
This sounds like the Bobson, Dugnut, Todd Gonzalez graphic.
And they're all spelled goofy, like Bryce with an S.
Boozer with an S as well.
Boozer with an S. Leisure is spelled awkwardly. Penn Murphy. Murphy is spelled Murfee. Those are real people. That's the White Sox bullpen.
Yeah.
None of them are good. Like, I'll save you time. None of them are good. They have 10 wins. The Rockies are the new laughing stock of baseball. They have 6 wins. Do you know which team has more saves?
The Rockies?
The Rockies have 5 times as many saves as the White Sox. The Rockies have 5 saves in their 6 wins. The White Sox have 1 save in their 10 wins.
That's because the White Sox, if they win, they freaking blow teams out. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. They're in a bit of a winning streak, right, or winning ways right now. They've won 3 of their last 4. They pounded Milwaukee the other day 8-0. Then had a 7-3 win over Houston. Won a series over Houston. Beat them in the rubber game 5-4 yesterday. Their best hitter right now is their rookie catcher Edgar Quero, or Quero, I believe is how you pronounce it. We'll learn because he's hitting 340 as a 22-year-old catcher. So
wow,
yeah, we may want to learn that name. Gentleman named Chase Mydroth is carrying an on-base percentage over 4 since being called up to play shortstop. Andrew Benintendi is still there. Luis Robert leads the American League in stolen bases, but is hitting 195. Andrew Vaughn's bad now. Like, there's nothing really good to say about the White Sox except that they can hold their heads high, that when people want to make jokes about a baseball team in 2025, it's not them.
They are tied for the major league lead in wins by 7 or more runs. Which is ridiculous. Their average margin of victory, so only their 10 wins, 5.4 runs. Like, if they beat you, they smoke your ass.
They have an 8-1 win over the Angels. That was opening day. A 9-0 win over Minnesota. An 11-1 win over Boston. A 10-3 win over the A's. And that aforementioned 8-0 win over Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's funny enough, it's the 2 Chicago teams that have those 2 gigantic wins.
So, yeah, they either win via bludgeoning or they do what you expect the White Sox to do, which is lose.
Yeah. Who are the Rockies playing this week?
Detroit.
Okay, I think we're going to get back to our winning ways with the Rock Sox parlay. It's only 15-14 on the year so far. You're pretty much breaking even when you factor in the VIG.
I feel good about that. Cole Reagan somehow did not pitch against the White Sox last season.
What?
And they still went 12-1 against them.
They went 12-1 against the White Sox, and Reagan's never started against them.
That is crazy.
Man. What would the over-under have been? Like 8.5 strikeouts, 9.5 strikeouts, maybe?
Something like that.
That's awesome.
It'll be good to see Cole back on the bump tonight as the Royals go for the win in game 1 of the 4 games. The lineup is kind of looking like Q's everyday lineup at this point. Jonathan India in left field, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny at first, Salvi at DH as he continues to work through that hip soreness. Raquel Garcia batting 5th at third base, Michael Massey at second, Drew Waters in right, Freddie Fermin behind the dish, Cal Isbell in center field against the right-hander.
Real quick, before we get to our final break of the show, I was trying to come up with reasons earlier to get starting pitchers to stay in games longer. Guys, throw harder. Statistically speaking, you look at the analytics, and third time through the order is harder on pitchers, et cetera, et cetera. I thought that teams should be forced to keep starters in or a child dies. That was my theory earlier. Really force the manager's hand. Mark B on YouTube came up with this great idea for me. If a starter throws a pitch over 95 miles an hour, it's a ball. That's going to keep them fresher. They're not going to throw as hard early in the game. They're going to stay fresh into the 7th inning. It's going to teach these guys to aim the damn ball and paint the corners like a real pitcher that is going out there, hot dogging it, throwing it as hard as they can, like me on the bowling lanes.
I would love to see Rob Manfred announce that rule and then Nolan Ryan appear from off camera and do to Manfred what he did to Robert Ventura that one time. Robin Ventura that one time. Noogies.
There are a number of guys who just would have to quit baseball because that's all they have.
Yes, that is true.
I can throw 99. Well, can you throw it accurately?
I can throw 99.
I can throw 99.
Final word next on 580 Sports Talk. Before we get to the final word, apologies to the listener, the texter from the 785 that misheard me. I did not say that the St. Louis Blues had the worst record in the playoffs. I merely said that they had lost Game 7 in the worst way imaginable, which I think if you're a Blues fan, that would be a hard thing to argue with me about. That is very, very painful to have lost a Game 7 in the fashion that the Blues did. I can relate, but yeah, that's what I meant. Anyhow, final word time, Spencer Dupuis.
Yeah, the Royals are on a tear and franchise record 7 homers yesterday for a team that couldn't hit homers seemingly for the first month and a half. They were the worst in the league, and then they hit 10 homers in 2 days, I think it was, or 9 homers, whatever it was. Oh, wow. I think we finally hit the time where the Royals are like, it's go time. Let's go. They got the White Sox this week. Should be easy breezy for them.
Brendan, final word.
Congrats on a great career to Norm Roberts, and I hope he gets to enjoy a long, prosperous, and relaxing retirement. Nothing but good things to say about Coach Norm Roberts, but I do think it's going to be good for KU basketball to get some new eyes on that program going forward.
Final word for me, I got to shout out Michael Garcia. Out to a great start this season. This was a guy that the Royals all but removed from their plans for 2025, deciding, oh, we're going to move him around. You're going to be a jack of all trades. That's their way of telling you you don't have a job. You got to play your way back into the lineup. And Michael Garcia has done that. He has hit his way back in the lineup, back into the middle of the Royals lineup. And I think that the offensive improvements he's made are legitimate. Royals baseball is coming up next. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6 for Spencer Dupuis and Brendan Dworzinski. I am Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.